Do not adjust your screens, folks. It is the same two teams, just on the next level up. It's the Guelph Junior Griffins in yellow with the red numbering, black buckets and pants, going up against the York Lions in their gray buckets, gray numbering, gray pants, and red jerseys. Ron, another doozy on tap. In the regular season back on June 9th, the Guelph Griffins beat the York Lions in Guelph by a score of 28-9. The only time the Griffins lost in their 7-1 2019 regular season campaign was in their very first game of the season back on May 18th in a tight 13-10 contest against Toronto. Guelph is trying to cement 2019 here in the OPFL regional rep junior varsity scene as their own.
You know, again, this is looking at these two teams on the sidelines. These are two big, very athletic teams. I think we're going to see a really evenly matched contest. Look for the ball to be thrown a significantly lot more in this game than we saw in the last couple.
The Lions already took away a championship earlier today in the Bantam scene by a score of 28-27. They kicked this one away in the JV scene as the York Lions will try and make it back-to-back against the Griffins. On the return, Guelph gets up to the 45-yard line. Impressive yardage to start this game for the team in yellow and red.
Good job pressing the outside lane and maintaining leverage. Good run. You can see him north-south. Picks his lane, drives downfield. Good gain after contact, too. He's going to put the ball at the 47-yard line.
Lions finished with a 5-2 regular season record. Out of those 5 wins, 2 came in overtime. And the only reason why I mentioned that is the fact that all these championship games so far in the Bantam scenes, at least on Saturday and Sunday, have been awfully close, and I'm still waiting for a first taste of overtime on our August long weekend. A low snap on the first offensive play of the game, and the quarterback has to literally just take the loss where it is. It's a loss of about 3 yards.
Yeah, they brought pressure too. You saw that the York Lions brought 6 guys out on that time. So when you saw the ball on the ground, a couple more guys just started firing through. Nowhere for the quarterback to go, and loss of about 4 yards on that.
Not the way you want to start a ball game, especially with a championship on the line.
No, exactly, but let's get the nerves out of the way. Let's get that out of the way and settle in. Let's play some football.
Let's see if the Junior Griffins have a goldfish mentality after a bit of a fumble on their first offensive play of the game. 3 weapons to the right side to choose from. 2 swag to the line. Looks like the quarterback's going to hand this one off. They have to get their way up to the 47-yard line. It's close to the first down, but I believe just shy.
The number 7, Sam Taylor, on the carry there, gets back about 4 yards on that run.
Unfortunately, there's a Lion down here with 10:40 remaining in the first quarter of play, and he looks to be in quite a bit of discomfort. It's that left or right leg, I believe.
He's grabbing his thigh and his leg there. That's unfortunate. You don't want to see injuries at any point in the game, but especially early in the game. There you saw on that last play, you saw that jet motion, or with a fake it's called a joker, and then you come back with the ISO on the backside of it, trying to get the defense to overcommit.
A bit of an overcast coming across the Forest City here, and maybe well welcomed as it's been a hot, long August weekend, and yet the humidity has sort of died out, and a little bit of an enjoyable breeze, and hopefully these two teams can benefit from it. But unfortunately, again, 20 seconds into this contest, we already see our first injury of this battle with the OPFL Regional Rep Championship on the line here in the JV scene.
Yeah. Again, it's unfortunate that any player goes down. And again, one of the things I think you're going to see here, if I remember correctly, at the JV level, that these guys play 4-down football.
Yeah, that's right, and there would be a 3rd down play coming up here for the Guelph Junior Griffins as both teams take a knee out of respect for the injured player, and it actually gave an opportunity, too, for the Water Gang, boys and girls respectively, to get out there and hydrate these two teams, and I'm sure that'll play a major factor throughout this contest and throughout every game that's left on your Saturday. This is the second of 3, and what's ironic for the York Lions program, and congratulations already out of the gate for winning the Bantam game for the championship earlier today, but they have 3 appearances on 3 games here on your championship Sunday.
Yeah, again, York is a very new program in the OPFL. We saw them in the Pee Wee organization earlier this summer. They did a great job in battling in that game. And then the Bantams today, will come away with their first championship. Let's see if the junior varsities can hold serve, and then later on the varsities playing North Bay.
Yeah, it's interesting because, like I mentioned, during the regular season, Guelph had a 7-1 regular season record. York had a 5-2 record with 2 overtime wins. The Durham Dolphins in the Premier Division is, unfortunately, they are calling for the stretcher here at TD Stadium. 20 seconds into this ball game, or I apologize, a minute and 20 seconds, I should say. Regardless of whatever the time it is, though, Ron, this isn't the time you want to see this happen.
No, this is really, really unfortunate. You know, the gentleman's in a lot of discomfort there. Let's hope that he's going to be okay, as we're going to have a little bit of a delay here waiting for a stretcher to come out.
So once again, if you joined us earlier this week, this is actually the 5th of 6 championship games. Yesterday, we had 3 Premier AAA championships. Congratulations to the Ottawa Sooners, who beat the London Junior Mustangs in a tight 28-27 contest. The Durham Dolphins, who, by the way, in the regular season went 2-6, then all of a sudden turn the table in the playoffs, go a perfect 3-0, win it all. They technically finish 5-6 on the year, yet they walk away with the OPFL Junior Varsity Championship to boot. And then the last game, it was a tight 3-3 contest. It felt like an eternity between the Ottawa Sooners and the Essex Ravens. Eventually, the Ravens would soar away, though, with the varsity title here in London, Ontario last night, as the whole team went out to a local establishment to celebrate their victory, and rightfully so. And today, already, we've seen York win 1 game, and they have a chance to win 2 more, and that would be a pretty incredible feat for any football program to walk away with 3 championships, let alone on the same day.
Yeah, you know, and again, that's a testament to the York coaching staff and the dedication that they've put in really building a really good caliber program there. We saw that earlier again. We saw that earlier this year with the Pee Wee team giving their all. They came up short. So the Bantams today winning their first championship at the OPFL level, which is, again, outstanding. Again, noticing something as I was walking around before the game, and I just want to say these 2 teams, you know, at the regional level, there's not a lot of difference between the Premier level and the regional level. These are both really 2 big, fast, athletic teams that like to spread the ball around. You're watching them in warm-up and everything else. Guelph's going to be a lot more of a run-centric team. York Lions could look like, you know, very different philosophy than what they had in the last game. They're going to run more of the traditional spread type of offense, try to hit the seams, 5 wide receivers, which you see a lot more in the Canadian game on any given time. So, you know, it's going to be exciting to see how this game plays out.
And I want to apologize to the viewers at home. I am trying to make out the number of the gentleman that is down for the York Lions. Unfortunately, just the way the trainers are huddled around him, I can't make out the number, but we do know that the stretcher has been called, and that is what has resulted in this long delay in the game. But, you know, everybody's concern here at TD Stadium isn't about necessarily this contest anymore. It's about the York Lions athletes' health on the field.
Yeah, you know, and it was unfortunate. It looked like it was a head-to-head tackle there. It looked like he's got a little bit of a stinger in his neck, and I'm sure that this is fully precautionary, as we saw the gentleman moving all the extremities, his arms and his legs and everything else. I'm sure that this is strictly a precaution that's happening right now.
And you're right, as we see it here on the replay, it almost just like he fell and the pressure went on that right leg. Now, I thought it was a leg injury originally, but you were saying, no, John, this is something more upper body.
Yeah, and unfortunately, like with the precaution that they're taking at this point, there's this, to me, it means only one thing, and that's like they're checking the neck and the head region. So again, our thoughts and prayers go out to this young man.
Now, one thing though, you know, not to get too dramatic about it, but if it were to be a neck injury, the one thing that I'm noticing is that he does have his left leg bent. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that is a good sign, because usually if a player has suffered a serious neck injury, but all their limbs are pretty much laid flat.
Yeah, and again, he's as we can see, like we're looking directly on the field on him, he's moving both of his hands and everything else. He's raising them above his head. So again, I'm sure that this is strictly precautionary that we're going on. And again, you know, football is a physical game, and injuries happen in it, and we never want to see somebody injured. So
So it is either Tomlinson Matthew, number 51, and we don't have a 57 on our sheet, so we're going to assume that it's Tomlinson Matthew, who unfortunately appears to be down at midfield, about $1.20 into this OPFL Regional Championship contest in the junior varsity scene. And man, oh man, you were kind of alluding to it though. We were watching these two teams warmed up. We've already encountered, ironically, between Guelph and York in the Bantam scene, a classic 28-27. You know, Guelph had a chance to tie the game. They tried to go for the 2-point convert instead with 2:06 remaining in the game. It didn't come to fruition, and York was able to run out and knee the clock down for a championship victory. And during the warm-up of this one, we're watching these two teams, and we thought, well, okay, we're kind of salivating as broadcasters because we're seeing a lot of athletes, a lot of studs, a lot of big boys on this JV scene. We almost thought we were watching some varsity football the way these kids were warming up, and unfortunately, a minute and 20 seconds into this championship contest, an injury again. We can't confirm just yet the number of the individual, but it appears to be number 51, Tomlinson Matthew. And we hope that he is okay. But, and like what Ron had alluded to, we've seen him move all of his limbs. He has that left knee bent. They have called for the stretcher. So, I mean, at this point, they are going to take every precaution necessary to make sure that this young athlete is okay. And, you know, you can take this one of two ways if you're the York Lions. You can take it as a, you know, a defeat a minute and 20 seconds into the game, or you can look at it as a rallying point. Despite the fact that it's an early 0-0 contest, to sort of, you know, boost your team and fight even harder for your fallen combatant.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for both of these teams. Like, you come out with the emotion of this is a championship game, and you fire it up and everything else, and 2 plays into the game, you know, now you've got a long pause. You've got to refocus your energy in a few minutes, and you still have a football game that you have to play.
Well, I mentioned, too, the overcast that has come over the Forest City. It was a bright, sunny day earlier today in the Bantam game, and essentially that overcast has allowed, you know, at least not that hot summer heat to be barreling down, especially right now for the injured player. It's a benefit, and like I said, here according to 7 after 3 local time, they are calling the local paramedics to come onto the scene. And I was at Kingston, Ontario a couple weeks ago for the Football Canada Cup tournament, which also included the U16 Eastern Challenge. And a player, ironically, that played for the London Junior Mustangs, and Jamison Eves, appeared to be banged up in a game versus the BC squad, as well as I believe it was an Ontario player actually with a nasty block on an Albertan boy in the bronze medal. Yeah. And on both of those occasions, the ambulance was called. But in both of those occasions, I could tell you that it was far more scarier, you know, the visuals of it, seeing somebody put onto the stretcher, strapped up, blanketed. It looks awful, folks, but at the end of the day, what they properly do is they ensure the player's health and safety, and they go through every proper procedure and precaution in order to do so. So with that being said, it looks awful, but a lot of the times, by the time this individual gets to the hospital, 9 times out of 10, they're cleared before this game even concludes.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, you know, again, we keep stressing, we can still see this gentleman moving his arms. We can still see this gentleman moving his legs and everything else. So, you know, that's always a great sign. This is strictly a precautionary thing when the decision's made to call an ambulance, and when you see the officials or the trainers put up the X, you know, that's the call right away. It doesn't matter if the player turns around 5 minutes later and says, no, I'm good to get up on my own. The ambulance has been called. The procedure in Ontario is the ambulance has to come, and that's that.
And I know you have to be respectful, A, for your teammate if you're the York Lions, and B, for your opposition if you're the Guelph Junior Griffins. However, you just alluded to it. These teams were warmed up, hyped up, and jacked up to play some OPFL Regional Rep Championship action here at TD Stadium. $1:20 goes off the clock, 2 offensive plays, and essentially we get an extremely long pause and play for the injured Lion. And again, we believe it's number 51, Tomlinson Matthew. You know, and again, more precautionary reasons as the paramedics have been called to the scene and we're waiting for the ambulance to arrive. But you know, as I start to see some Griffins and some Lions break out some pigskins, I was just going to allude to this. Do you tell your team to continue to warm up on the sidelines, knowing that they they technically even haven't tipped their toes into the water yet.
Well, no, you got to stay loose because when this gentleman is cleared, you know, he's gonna the game's gonna come back in. They're not gonna get another warm up period or anything like that. So you're gonna be playing the game right away. So you have to stay loose. You have to stay focused at the task at hand. And as a coach, you know, it kind of gets the distraction of what's going on the field away from you, and it helps you refocus on football and what you need to do.
You know, hopefully I'm not speaking out of term here, but there is a local hospital on the university's campus, ironically called University Hospital, which is just about 3 to 4 blocks north of the stadium. The reason why I say that is I would assume that it would not take the paramedics long to get here to TD Stadium. However, I do remember getting an injury in hockey where I dislocated my elbow, and with the hospital a couple blocks away, I waited 45 minutes for a paramedic to arrive. So sometimes when you need them the most, it takes them a little while to get here.
Depends, you know, like they're all the ambulances are done by central dispatch, so depending on where the ambulance is actually in service and everything else, what area of the city it's in, it's got to get through. And again, it's a holiday weekend and it's a Sunday afternoon. This is probably when you're the least staffed on that kind of thing. So we could be waiting for a few minutes here still.
10:40 remains on the first quarter clock. 0-0 is the score between the Lions and the Junior Griffins here in this Junior Varsity Championship game. We're currently at 3:12 local time. And again, I can confirm by 3:07 local time that the paramedics were called here to TD Stadium. And one thing I do appreciate, and I noticed this actually, and I don't want to, say anything bad about Football Canada, but when one of the players on Alberta got injured specifically, I did not appreciate the fact that, I don't know, for whatever reason, Football Canada's president went out there, executives went out there, people that have pretty much no paramedic or medical experience were surrounding this poor kid that's on the field. And Ron, I think you've been there, I've been there. When you're injured on a field of play, that's the last thing you want is 100 faces surrounding you in a circle, panning over you going, what's wrong? You would like to see the paramedics. A coach is acceptable. And, if he does have family here, I would want to see his mom or dad be able to go to the scene and be there with their child. But other than that, you do not need, a village around a fallen combatant. They just need to be able to breathe and get through this problem on their own right.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, again, we see the coaching staff out there and we see the trainers, and we did see a parent that was, I think, at the far side of the gate there who was waiting for him. So I'm sure, like I said, I'm sure this gentleman's going to be fine. I'm sure everything's going to work out fine for him and everything else. But, again, I speculation. But, again, we have seen him move all of his extremities and everything else. So he seems to have full movement on his limbs. So let's talk about this game. This weekend was originally scheduled for Hamilton at Tim Hortons Field. And last minute, Hamilton FC had decided to book Tim Horton Field. So, great job for the Mustang organization stepping up and saying, hey, we'll be able to host it here. And let's talk about, kind of what's happened over the last couple of days, John.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been incredible. This is already the 5th of 6 championship games on the weekend. And as we talked yesterday, I just can't believe it, Ronnie. 28-27, Ottawa over London in the Bantam scene. 28-27, it's York over Guelph in the Bantam scene when it comes to the regional game. That's just almost creepy deja vu, if you ask me.
Well, and again, looking up at the scoreboard, unfortunately I was part of that tough loss yesterday.
So you know how Guelph feels.
Yeah, I do. And looking up at the scoreboard, it was eerily similar, like ironic, as I'm looking up and going, the guests have 28 and we've got 27, and same thing happened today. Gutsy call by the Guelph coaching staff going for 2 earlier today. So that was interesting.
Yeah, that was the game's difference, is they had a chance to kick the extra point to tie it up at 28, all with 2:06 remaining in the fourth quarter clock. And Guelph decided to be a bit of a gambler, like taking a page out of the Replacements movie. Unfortunately, they didn't have Keanu Reeves at the pivot, and they couldn't convert, as we do see the paramedics out onto the turf right now. And we do appreciate them hurrying up and getting onto the scene here at 3:15 local time after being called at 3:07, or at least they confirmed that they'd been called at 3:07, as we get the shot on the field there of the paramedics.
So again, as we're kind of we're kind of trying to fill up. We can kind of confirm both teams are kind of going to their respective end zones and everything else here to maybe do a little bit of a warm up and everything else, and stay loose and everything else. When we were walking around earlier watching these two teams, there's one thing I did notice was the speed factor for this York Lion offense. I was really impressed.
You're seeing the Griffins actually run down to their end zone, and a handful of Lions have also ran to the far corner of their end zone respectively. So kind of like you saying, and we were repeating earlier, that teams went through a full warm-up. A minute and 20 seconds have only gone off the clock. 2 offensive plays officially have been recorded. And then we get this long delay of roughly 20 minutes, unfortunately, due to the injury. And again, we believe the injured combatant on the turf for the York Lions is number 51 in Tomlinson Matthew.
I think it's Matthew Tomlinson, actually. I think they've got the first names listed backwards there.
Oh, wonderful.
Because I'm just looking at some of these other, for some of the other names on here, and I'm pretty sure that number 17 is not Barnett Scott. I'm pretty sure it's Scott Barnett, so just as on a side note there.
Well, you gotta love it when they give you roster sheets 2 minutes before you go on the air, and then they don't point out the proper things.
So yeah, both teams are going through again a little bit of a warm up here. Try to stay loose, try to stay focused during this delay. And again, we appreciate you guys staying with us, and we're trying to do our best to fill this and in this very serious situation that's going on here.
As he's put onto the stretcher, he appears to be okay. As you see, pretty much the Griffins going through their pre-game routine completely as a team. York is sort of split into 2 separate squads there, Ron. Can you kind of describe what's going on here?
Well, what they're doing is the quarterbacks and the receivers are staying loose, and they're just going through like a little pass scully and everything else, and everyone else is doing a stretch warm. So your big boys and everything are doing the stretch warm, and your receivers doing what they do is they want to track balls. They want to get used to catching it in the conditions that it's going in and everything else. The quarterback's arms stay loose. These athletes are stretched out or ready to go. And again, what you're trying to do at this point is just occupy some time and get through this delay. Normally this is where we check the out-of-town scoreboard, but considering all the scores are in town this week, we've kind of seen everything there.
28-27 between these same 2 programs in the Bantam scene earlier today, with the York Lions winning the nail-biter. And the irony of the same scoreboard from the Premier Bantam Championship game yesterday between the host London Junior Mustangs and the Ottawa Sooners.
Scanning for some sports news, I guess Tom Brady has signed a new 2-year extension worth $23 million. So just what Tom Brady needs is a little bit more cash in his pocket.
Worth every penny.
Yeah, and anytime you win a Super Bowl, that's good, and that's good money invested and everything. But it's interesting to see, you look at a guy like Minnesota's quarterback, and again, I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Not Cousins.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins. What did he sign? Like $30 million guaranteed. Tom Brady signs a 2-year deal for $23 million, so like half the money. And I don't think Kirk Cousins is half as good as Brady is.
Although Kirk Cousins was on the top 100 list of the NFL that they just released.
Yeah, he was
way above Cam Newton, which was a shocker to me, Ron.
No, Cam Newton really struggled last year, and again, I'm not a big fan of that rolling out quarterback in the NFL style and everything else. As they have loaded the gentleman on the stretcher and everything else, and we can see his mom and dad are actually down there, so it's good to see that everything's getting looked after here.
And normally security pretty strict when it comes to parents going onto the field, but in this situation you do have to bend the rules a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So again, at the end of the day here, these are kids. These are 16-year-old kids playing football, the game that they love and everything else. And now a minute 20 into this game, you've got to get refocused and re-jacked up, and you got to complete this game. And it's going to be a hard thing to do. It's going to take a couple plays, and the reality of the situation of settling back into the game is going to come into fruition. Again, one thing I will point out is I'm pretty sure that at this level that these guys play 4 downs at the JV level as opposed to the premium level where they play the 3 downs.
That'll be a big factor throughout this game. And you talked about recollecting your thoughts. The whole team from the Guelph Griffins Junior program kind of had a bit of a team huddle around their 30-yard line, whereas the Lions, I can still say, kind of going through their warm-ups there. And we can confirm, and I do apologize, Matthew Tomlinson, not Tomlinson Matthew, as it's written in our score sheet here, is the gentleman that was injured. And we hope that he is okay, although all signs show, at least, that this is all precautionary.
Yeah, again, we can confirm that from the booth, that he was moving all of extremities and everything else. He was raising both of his arms over his head. He had both of his legs moving at one point. Again, I'm sure this is strictly a precautionary measure, but again, once the policy is once they give the notice for the stretcher or the ambulance to be called, that's it. Regardless of whether they want to be brought into an ambulance or not, that's it. We're done, and the ambulance is coming. See, again, we can see him moving his arms right there, John. So
here for number 51 from the York Lions, Matthew Tomlinson.
So great job by the faithful here at TD Stadium to applaud Matthew Tomlinson as he aboards the paramedic ambulance here at TD Stadium's midfield. Both these two teams collecting themselves as, again, we still have a championship football game to get into. 10:40 remains officially on the first quarter clock here at TD Stadium, and a scoreless affair so far between the Junior Griffins and the York Lions.
So again, the big goal right here is you've got to refocus your kids, and again, the emotional letdown of the injury and everything else. For everything, you've got to refocus your team, because you still have 43 minutes, 44 minutes of football left to play, and you've got to play that for a championship at this level, which, again, just pointing out, the Bantam Guelph Griffins last year won the regional rep championship game. So a lot of those kids from that Bantam team had moved up to the junior varsity level. So these kids know what it takes to win. These kids know what it takes to come out on top. They're a very athletic team. They're physically very big. And again, what's impressed me so far today was the athleticism and the coaching ability of the York Lions. Again, I'm not overly familiar with the program coming into it this year, but basically, this is a very big athletic team, and I'm looking forward to seeing some high quality football later on today.
So the game appears to be getting back on their way with the ambulance off the track, although it hasn't left the TD Stadium just yet. The ball is placed at the 50 or 46-yard line. And man, oh man, just a somber way to start this championship game.
Yeah, you never want to have an injury or anything else like that happening in here, but again, strictly precautionary. Now, I'm not sure. Oh, they are telling us to go ahead and start the game. Normally, the procedure is that they won't restart the game until the ambulance has left the stadium. But the OPFL officials are saying, let's get this started now.
Third down.
So yeah, it is 4 down football at the junior varsity level here.
Griffins.
3 swag to the line for their quarterback, who's going to throw this one deep. He's got a man down. And man, oh man, one-on-one fight for the ball. Not being able to come away with it was Max Nixon.
Yeah, again, just a simple go route there. They're trying to hit that seam on the outside, taking a shot. Good coverage there by Jared Golden, who was the corner on the outside there. Good locked up coverage. He actually had a better chance of making the play on the ball than the receiver did.
According to my stat sheet, Nixon will stay out there as not only plays wide receiver, but as well as place kicker and punter for the Guelph team.
Back to the Lions, number 2, Jared Golden.
10-10 remains on the first quarter clock here in the 2019 OPFL Championship game in the junior varsity scene. The long snap, it looked potentially like a fake. Instead of it's a low booming punt on a 2-hop. It's collected by the punt returner, who avoids 1 tackle, avoids 3 tackles, span down to the ground though at the 34-yard line.
Great coverage. That's that rugby style, or that, you know, Aussie style of kick that you're seeing more and more, becoming more and more popular. Is what it basically does is it gives you the option, if the defense doesn't like maintain the edge contain, the punter has the option of taking that ball and flying up the sidelines, and they actually had a pattern off of that as well. So look for that play to come into effect later on today.
Christopher Jorstad was the one that returned the punt for the Lions.
Lining up behind center for the Lions, number 7.
Quads to the left side of their quarterback. The Lions with 1 in the backfield. 3 run to the line. Looks like this is a play action. They're going one-on-one down the near sidelines through the hands of Jared Golden, the intended target.
So we saw him playing a little bit of defense, and now he's playing wide receiver. Again, you had one-on-one coverage. They're willing to take the shot there. What they're trying to do is get the one-on-one matchup with the defender that they want.
One thing I just have to note is the ambulance still hasn't left the track here at TD Stadium with Matthew Tomlinson inside of it. I'm a little confused by that. You'd think they would be heading off to the local hospital by now. As the quarterback in the shotgun is going to throw this one over the top. It is caught at the 45-yard line, marked down at the 49. Great hustle, behind some muscle for Macias Harvey Dick.
Yeah, you know, get just a simple slant pattern underneath there. So again, we had 3x2, 3 to the wide side of the field and 2 to the boundary here, just hitting that seam play.
53 remains here in the first quarter of play. Still looking for our first score of this afternoon championship regional rep contest between the 5-2 York Lions and the 7-1 Guelph Junior Griffins. Well, after a couple pass plays, York goes to the ground attack, and the Griffins go, yeah, we got that. It's a tackle for a loss.
Yeah, you know, again, great coverage downfield. So it was a straight handoff give. Number 45, I believe it was, the linebacker for the Griffins, came across from the will position and cleaned that up on the short side of the field. So again, they're just trying to get them moving around. And I believe it was actually number 22 that made the tackle for the Griffins.
And that would be Andrew Newbigging, as the quarterback ranges back in the pocket, throws it over the top. Man, oh man, Scott Barnett was really close to being picked off there. It goes in and out of the hands of a Griffin.
Yeah, Jack Wheeler on the coverage, so he's, again, dropping into his zone there and read the quarterback's eyes all the way. This is a tougher throw than people think. Again, right-handed quarterback rolling out to his left to the wide side of the field. Got to be able to flip your hips around and deliver that ball. A little bit soft on the throw. I'd like to have seen a little bit more zip in there.
It's nice to see the John McKay coach drip Jumba zone down there on the chain gang in front of the Guelph Griffins bench as the ball is snapped to the quarterback in the gun. He'll rotate over the left side of the pocket, throws it over the top. The receiver fell down as he tried to backtrack at the 40. I believe that was Christopher Jorstad, again, the intended target on this play. 4th and long, the punting unit comes out.
Yeah, so you see the punting unit come out, and again, that same rollout pattern to the left. This time they tried to hit a corner route over the top of it, and he had him, but again, just the ball was thrown inside. I don't know if the receiver and the quarterback were quite on the same page there.
7:40 now remains on the first quarter clock from TD Stadium. It'll be a punt for the York Lions here, give or take from around their 40-yard line. As this one, the Griffins almost got to the punter. A beautiful punt bounces off the 35-yard line. The returner up the field. Multitude of flags as the kick returner, or punt returner, I should say, and Keon Robinson is tackled around the 50. But 1, 2, 3 flags on this play. You're pointing to a 4th one, too.
4th flag on the far side of the field, so that would have been an offside call against one of the teams. The flag down here is going to be an illegal block, a clipping call against the Guelph Griffins.
And the ambulance is finally leaving the TD Stadium track here at 3:30 local time after being confirmed at 3:07 local time. Matthew Tomlinson will be taken to a local hospital and evaluated.
So they're talking to York, obviously, about the flags here. I don't know if it's going to be Guelph offside or what's going to be happening there. Obviously, it's not going to be enough for a first down yard, and so it doesn't matter. It's going to be going back 10 yards from the spot of the foul.
As we see the replay here of this punt that bounced perfectly off the 35, but there's one penalty. There appears to be another, and then, well, at least it was a clean tackle at the end there by Zachary Pursley.
So the officials there, I believe that's number 52, Johnny Burke, a longtime official with the London Crew, pointing to the 30-yard line. So that's where it's going to be spotted from. And moving it, so we're going to have the ball around the 20-yard line, 21-yard line.
Man, the reason why I'm saying all this about the ambulance is I think it's actually a good thing for Matthew Tomlinson, but it took a while for the ambulance to get off the field. Took even longer for the ambulance to get off the TD Stadium track. And then as I see the ambulance drive through the parking lot, no emergency lights and no rush. So something just tells me that, again, this is strictly precautionary, and even the paramedics realize that the individual in Matthew Tomlinson is okay.
Yeah, I believe it is strictly precautionary.
3 options to the right side. The quarterback flushed out of the pocket. He's going to go for a run past the 25, past the 30, stutter steps, and he'll go out of bounds on his own accord, and a late flag at the 40 on this one.
We got a hold on number 12 blocking downfield here, but it's going to be after yards gained. So the ball's going to be at the 40. It's going to go back to the 30, but we're going to reset the clock, reset the chains. It's going to be a first down for Griffins.
So Keon Robinson, though, cost his team some yards off of that first down, as they would have had the ball up at the 40, and they're going to backtrack this one to the 30.
So about the 31-yard line is where it's going to be marked.
As you look down at field level, something they did for the Bantam game, they got the gold and the glory already laid out in the championship and finalist banners and the championship trophy, along with the defensive offensive player of the game and MVP of this championship contest.
6:45 to play in the opening quarter.
So with 6:45 remaining in the opening frame, back into the gun go the Griffins QB. Rotating from the backfield on a sweep is number 30 to the far side. That's Benjamin Cottrell. Cottrell, though, will be tackled after a gain of 2 yards.
Just a straight jet sweep action, so that's a slot back, giving the handoff at full speed. So they're running that zone read offense with the jet. What you saw the last time the quarterback pulled that, he's reading the defensive end. The defensive end crashes down. He's playing run contain, and he just pops it outside. So we're going to see, we're starting to see what these teams want to do is get the spread to the ball to the edges and make the other defense go across and defend the entire width of the field.
As again, you got a shot of those lovely trophies and banners down at sidelines awaiting the winners and finalists of this championship dance. Griffins go to the ground attack. A bit of a pile of humanity falls after, well, a gain of 2 or 3 yards.
Yeah, again, that time you came in with that jet motion, so that's the Joker look, and then you're coming underneath with the ISO play. So a gain of about 2 or 3 yards. We're going to have a long 5, short 6 here on third down.
5:30 now remains in the opening quarter of play here in the 2019 OPFL Regional Rep Championship in the junior varsity scene. York Lions finished the regular season with a 5-2 record with 2 overtime wins. The Guelph Griffins finished with a 7-1 record. This is a pass behind the line of scrimmage. It is caught, and they get the yards they need out of it, and much, much more. They needed 6 yards, and Ron, if he doesn't catch that ball, it's a fumble.
Yeah, again, because it was thrown behind him. But again, get the ball into space. It's like a long handoff is basically what that is. So forced out of bounds at the 50-yard line. I thought he got beyond that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they must have said he tiptoed out of bounds. He's trying to get down the tightrope in front of the York Lions bench. Benjamin Cottrell, though, picks up the first down for Guelph as they continue to motor here with under 5 minutes remaining in the opening quarter. York laying back, and they did the right thing there. They swallow up the running back right at the line of scrimmage for no gain.
Absolutely nowhere, no gain, nowhere to go. Again, we did see a little different formation in there, more of a traditional under center 2x2 set with 2 running backs in. And again, York was all over that. They saw that play calling. I will say that we saw them practicing against that play earlier today, so that was interesting to see them actually using it now.
Zachary Pursley, joined by his combatant in arms, and Andrew Lowry in on the tackle for the last play for the Lions. 4:12 now remains on the clock. 3 run to the line. 4 options to the right side. It's a bad snap. The quarterback ranges back in the pocket, throws it, and he had a receiver open, ironically enough, in Kazay Matty, but unfortunately for Matty, he was going right and the ball went left as the quarterback was feeling the pressure.
Well, the quarterback's job at that point is just try to get the ball as close to a receiver as possible into the line of scrimmage to avoid the big play. That's our second botched snap that we've seen in this game so far for the Griffins. So let's see if that becomes a factor as the game goes on.
3rd and long here with under 4 minutes remaining in the first quarter of play. The team in yellow with the black buckets and pants and the red trim and numbering are the Guelph Junior Griffins, and the team in red with the gray buckets and gray pants and numbering are the York Lions. Play action by the Griffins. They go deep into double coverage. It is caught by the Griffins. Close to the end zone. Touchdown, Guelph. Keon Robinson. It's Pater from 60 yards out.
This is just a seam play. The safety thought he had a play on it. And again, we see that wind kind of coming into a factor. The safety jumped up a little bit early to make the play on it, but that Robinson was just able to run under it and catch that fly ball and take it 60 yards to the house.
And feeling a bit of the pain from releasing that ball and taking a hit to make the play, I believe, was Nico John Gaston, the starting quarterback today, as he's a bit of wincing on the bench there in that 8 uniform. The extra point is good with 3:36 remaining here in the opening quarter of play. It's 7-0 in favor of the Guelph Junior Griffins here in the 2019 OPFL Regional Rep Junior Varsity Championship game.
Similar start to the Bantam game that we saw. We saw Guelph jump up early in that game. And again, it was a quick strike. It was a big strike that we saw happening there. Good to see that Guelph was able to maintain some composure and take a shot downfield, like the play call. So both teams have obviously done some scouting on the other team because they've got some stuff that they've got going on here.
What was more impressive, NJG, Nico John Gaston, staying in the pressure-filled pocket and releasing that ball as he took a hit into double coverage, or the receiver in Robinson fighting 2 Lions for the ball, coming away with the biscuit and hitting Pater?
Well, it was more of the ball was placed exactly where it needed to be, so I'll go with the quarterback on that one. Again, as a wide receiver coach, I try to give love to the receivers as best we can.
You don't like guys throwing a football at you on the field here.
Not at the 40-yard line, I don't.
The ball is placed at the 45. The Griffins approach the ball, and they boot this one, well, kind of midfield. It takes a funny hop on the Lions. It's a live ball. They do collect it, though, do the Lions, and they march their way close to the 40-yard line, bringing it up to the 39. It was Christopher Jorstad. Jorstad all over the turf early for the Lions.
Yeah, he's been a real force so far. Let's see if they can keep this momentum going. The Guelph Griffins, they were able to hold them on defense again, but York had a shot and they just weren't able to complete it on that last one. Let's see if they can come out and establish some defensive presence, or if the offense can get some momentum going.
So York sends their quarterback back out there. And a bit of confusion right now as far as organizing it for Scott Barnett.
They're going empty.
And an empty backfield, as Ronnie referred to. There is a blitz coming. Barnett has to get rid of it in a hurry. It is caught at the 40, past the 45, tiptoeing out of bounds around the 50. That again is Christopher Jorstad getting the job done with Scott Barnett's pass.
So what they're doing there is they're making the defense declare, are you in man and zone? So what they had there was an under or a Boston route, like just a bubble screen to the running back who went out to the slot and came all the way back across the formation to do that slip screen. And again, all you're doing is for the receivers there is running them off.
3 minutes remains in the opening quarter of play. This is a run play by the Lions, blowing past the line of scrimmage, getting the first down and more, refusing to go down right away. I believe that's Devontae Auger getting the ball done on the ground with a first down carry of about 15 yards.
Yeah, just a little inside jet motion there, and again, coming from the backside slot, coming all the way across, hits that skinny, so he comes right off the edge and then gets vertical up there. Good gain of about 9 or 10 yards. As we see new stick crew personnel in place now.
Okay, well, the Coach Day Jumbo Drip fan zone must have moved somewhere else from the chain gang. As this is a play action completed and caught. The Lions, once again, Christopher Jorstad. He seems to be their bread and butter. Pushes it past the 30. It's another first down.
Again, just the same type of concept. You're just trying to get the defense moving around a little bit, and you're slipping that Boston route underneath there, or that bubble. So it's really hard for them to track inside out when you've got motion coming from the outside to the in.
First and 10, 2 minutes left on the first quarter clock from TD Stadium. The Lions looking to exact revenge after losing the Griffins back on June 9th, 28-9 in Junior Griffins territory. This is a run play, but not falling for it were the Griffins. They get to the running back way behind the line of scrimmage. It's a loss of 2 yards.
Well, again, same play design as they're doing last time. You're still running that slip or that Boston under with the slot back. This time they hand it off. So the play design is the same. What it's forcing the defense to do is declare what they're doing, but they have to play the run and the pass in the same situations, and it's putting some players in binds.
2nd and 12. The quarterback goes back into the gun, and Scott Barnett. Barnett tells his receivers to run to the line. He's got 3 options to his left side. Throws this one deep, trying to hit the end zone. Touchdown, Lions! After a 60-yard bomb by the Griffins, the Lions respond with a 30-yard bomb of their own.
Again, we talked about this being a little bit more points, spread offenses so the ground and pound that we saw earlier. I wasn't sure that both these receivers were supposed to be running the vertical pattern because you can see them running side by side, but the inside guy caught it. It was a great catch, great throw as well.
And it looks like it's Austin Fortier is going to be the benefit of that epic pass down the sidelines, but hold the phone. There does appear to be another York Lion injured, and we hope, I'm knocking on my noggin here, Ronnie, that knock on wood, this is not something serious again.
No, I think he's just cramping up because you can see him kind of grabbing his ankle and is trying to stretch out a little bit more. That we can see that, he's up, he's moving, everything's fine, so this is not going to be a long delay. As we see Coach Mills come into the booth, sir. Again, I'm sure this is just a stretch or like a hammy or a quad or something like that, or a pull.
A minute and 20 seconds into this game, we saw a York Lion go down, number 51, Matthew Tomlinson. It took the ambulance roughly about 20 to 25 minutes to respond to the call and get him off the TD turf, which resulted in a long pause in play after only 2 offensive plays officially had been in the books. The Guelph Griffins struck on a 60-yard bomb from their quarterback Nico Jean Gaston to Mr. Robinson, Keon Robinson, but then quickly responding with a 30-yard bomb of their own was the York Lions. This is turning into an air show here at TD Stadium.
Yeah, we thought it might be. Both these teams are very athletic. They've got great weapons outside, and they both like to stretch the field. So it's been an impressive start for both of these teams, kind of waiting out. It feels like that heavyweight fight that we kind of saw earlier. As we can see, that's number 2, Jared Golden is the York Lion being helped off the field. And
Now,
again,
he was one of the 2 players running the vertical, but was he the gentleman that reeled in the pass from Scott Barnett?
No, he was the outside guy. It was I think it was number 34 that caught the pass.
Marcus A. Toro.
And they will line up for the point after touchdown, and something we've been repeating throughout Saturday and Sunday. These plays are so huge in championship games. That's Marcus Atoro attempting the point after that is blocked by the Griffins, and just like that, it's a 7-6 ball game.
Oh, here we go again.
Guelph maintains their lead with 1:11 left in the first quarter of play.
Yeah, I've seen this song and dance before a couple times today. We saw Guelph earlier today go for the 2-point conversion. These extra points, they're not free. You got to earn them, but they come in to be such a huge factor into the game later on.
You can definitely reflect on this moment late in the fourth quarter if the differential stays at 1. But I will say this, Ronnie. I think it hurts a little less with 1:11 left in the first quarter than in the dying minutes of the fourth.
But it sets a tone. It almost forces you at one point. You've got to go for 2. So now all of a sudden you're chasing points that you feel you should have. And as a coach, it's not something you want to do. You don't want to feel that you're chasing. You want to feel like you're employing your will on them.
And number 30, Benjamin Cottrell.
So I believe Benjamin Cottrell is ready to set things up here from the 45-yard line.
Left-footed kicker, too.
And I apologize, that is Marcus Aturo, who just had the extra point blocked by the Griffins. He's going to boot this one deep down to the 20-yard line. The kick returner doesn't necessarily handle it cleanly, but eventually makes his way up. Breaks off of one tackle. Smothered by the Sea of Red, though, at the 36.
Number 8, I feel it was, they're calling it number 5, Kyle Otero. Great job sticking in there, staying nice and square and driving through the open field tackle. Really good coverage downfield by the York Lions.
First and 10, 12.
See if the Griffins can match that, match that touchdown, or again move the ball and take some time off the clock, give your defense a rest.
I dare say this, Ron, because we've been enjoying such incredible weather throughout our August long weekend, but those look a little bit like rain clouds in the southern direction. And we still have plenty of football left in this game. Oh yeah, Ronnie, still a varsity championship in the regional rep division later on.
It wouldn't be a long weekend without a little bit of rain in it.
As a number 30 with an incredible play to the left side, Benjamin Cottrell continuing to do damage on the ground.
Good job by Cottrell. Just a little toss play over the left-hand side, staying nice and square, being patient as a runner, and explodes through the hole for a gain of about 15 yards in the first down. So I like the mix of the pass and the run for the Griffins. Let's see if they can maintain it as Guelph is breaking the huddle in here, and we've got we're in the 3 receivers to the wide side of the field, 2 to the boundary there, ace or a single running back. Guelph quarterback, a little bit of joker action coming up here, so fake the jet sweep, and this time the quarterback keeps it, takes it over the left-hand side, makes the first man miss, and then is brought down after a gain of about 2 or 3 yards. Number 34 for the York Lions, Marcus Harvey Dick on the tackle. But again, just a little joker motion. They're trying to get the defense to exploit what they're doing. Are they tracking or are they playing zone? So after that, you can see the defensive end crash down, so the quarterback just pulls that ball on that zone read and boots it outside.
And just like that, 12 minutes officially has gone off the clock, although that would be one of the longer quarters of this entire weekend, given the injury with the Paramedics having to come onto the field.
Yeah, again, a long quarter and everything else. Didn't feel like the longest quarter. I'm sure it was time-wise, but yesterday...
Well, I know what quarter felt like the longest for you so far on this weekend, Ron, but you and your coaching staff did an incredible job. There has to be a winner and there has to be a loser, especially in an incredible football game like the one that we saw yesterday and already today in the Bantam scenes, ironically enough, with both finished with the same score, 28-27.
And this is what I love about football. It's the finality of a championship game. One season, your seasons are going to come to an end. At the end of the day, one team's going to be a winner, one team's going to be a loser. I know it sounds really, really cliche, but not in a lot of sports do you get a one-game playoff where everything's decided in that for your championship game on one game. It's not a series like in baseball or in hockey or basketball. It's a single game, and that's what makes football the greatest sport around.
11:47 remains here in the opening half of play in a 7-6 contest in favor of the Junior Griffins with their offense back onto the field. They pitch this one to the near side, breaks off of one tackle, trying to fight his way to midfield and refusing to go down right away is Benjamin Cottrell.
Yeah, Cottrell does a good job of getting to the edge there. Shout out to, and I missed the number, I believe it was number 1 for the Griffins, Ty Dorcas. does a great job on a crackback block, sealing the edge, so allowing the running back to get out there. But great pursuit by the defensive end there. I think it was it's a middle linebacker, number 56 for the York Lions. I'm just getting his name there. That's Ryan Stewart, who was on the tackle. Middle linebacker position, tracking all the way across.
3rd and 7 coming up now for the Junior Griffins. They have 3 run to the line, 3 options to the quarterback's left side. He pump fakes once, pocket collapses, escapes up the middle. He'll be shy of the first down here, Ron, by a yard or 2, and they're at midfield. Do they dare gamble?
Well, I'm not sure. Again, this is it 3rd down? Was it 4th? It's going to be 4th down and 2. I think by no movement from the bench, I think that gives us our answer that they're going to go for it. But again, another big tackle by number 56, Ryan Stewart.
They've gone to Benjamin Cottrell an awful lot. That wears 3-0 in the Guelph jersey. They're going to go to the QB sneak. The ball got fumbled on the ground, though. And not only are the Griffins lucky to recover it, but I don't think they're going to get the healthy spot they need to get this first down.
No, he's going to definitely be short of this. They're spotting it right on the 50-yard line. They are pointing to the York Lions. He had to get almost to the 51, and actually I thought it was a pretty generous spot giving the ball over where it was. I thought it was on the other side of the 50. But again, turnover and downs. Let's see if York can contain some of that momentum now.
Guelph started off this game. It was a 60-yard bomb from their quarterback, Nico Jean Gaston, to his receiver in Robinson for Paydirt. And then York responded almost immediately with their quarterback, Scott Barnett, taking a shot to the end zone. And it was Austin Fortier coming away with the 30-yard touchdown gallop. Unfortunately, though, after the Austin Fortier touchdown, they missed the extra point as Guelph blocked it, and they still hang on to a 7-6 lead. The field is split evenly for the Lions. The quarterback's going to keep it, though. Running right up the gut is Barnett. He's smothered by those bumblebee and red trim uniforms. That's the killer bees, isn't it? The Africanized bees have a little red trim on their backs.
A little bit of red trim, but this is, again, they went empty. They brought all 6 receivers out wide, so they're trying to get an isolation one-on-one with a linebacker. It's a straight quarterback draw. If you're getting, like we talked about in the earlier game, if you're averaging 4 or 5 yards a carry, that's going to make a long day for the defense.
9:30 remains on the second quarter clock here on a 2nd and 5 coming up for the Lions. Their quarterback looked like he was going behind the center. Instead, he goes back to the shotgun, sends 3 to the line, and has 2 to his left side. He hands it to his running back, though, and the Griffins aren't falling for this one. He'll be lucky to get back to the line of scrimmage on the carry for the Lions. It appears to be Devontae Auger.
Yeah, Auger does a good job of collapsing down on that. Again, good penetration upside. So this is a straight zone read. So the quarterback has the option of pulling that ball and getting to the edge. But number 28 slow played it out wide, forced the quarterback to hand the ball off inside, where it's, again, met with no gain on that play.
3rd and 5. Do the Lions go to the air here or stick to the ground? They do. Hand this ball off once again to Auger. Auger looked like he was grabbed at the back of the neck. You wanted to call, Ron. Lions fans wanted to call, but there is no call on the field. It's a 4th down.
This is the classic horse. This is missed, obviously, by the officials, but this is a classic horse collar tackle. How you can tell, because it's the change in direction, the spinning around effect that you see. That only happens if you're inside the jersey, you're inside the shoulder pad. It doesn't happen unless you're grabbing inside of something. So York's decided to go for it with the short down here.
4th and inches. Scott Barnett, the quarterback, on the QB sneak, and it's fumbled away. And the Lions, just like the Griffins, will turn over the ball on downs, attempting a QB sneak on 4th down that is fumbled. Wow.
Wow, a little bit of a sloppy play there. That's unfortunate. Again, I think he had enough, and then he was hit, and the ball popped out. But he was under center, and he almost bobbled the snap as he was coming out of. And this is something that, again, it's a really basic thing, but if you're used to playing in the pistol or the shotgun or whatever you want to call it, and you're used to catching a snap back, it's a totally different snapping routine for a center when he's snapping under his legs or when he's throwing it into a shotgun.
So Guelph offense is back out there with their 1-point lead. They snap the ball to their QB, who looks to go deep down the field. It's the same intended target in Keon Robinson that already had a 60-yard bomb. This one would have been from 58 yards out.
Yeah, they're trying to go after the field corner there. I missed the number of who it was, but they've got something, or at least they feel they've got something going on there. And again, ball was thrown a little bit inside. I would have liked to have seen that throw outside a little bit longer there.
In North York, Ontario, where this sexy broadcaster was born back on Saturday, May 18th, the Guelph Junior Griffins lost a nail-biter 13-10 to Toronto, but since then, they have not tasted defeat, and they're looking to crown 2019 as the OPFL Regional Rep Junior Varsity Champions. This is a fake sweep. They hand it off, ironically enough. That confused me, and Zach Wessinger breaks off of a tackle, has the first down, and it takes some 11-on-11 violence from Ezekiel Ramble to take him down.
Yeah, great run. So this is a jet sweep, and it's a straight reverse or a counter. They give the jet sweep, and then he turns around and flicks it to the other guy coming the other way, which is number 11. Great finish on that run. I love he got a pad level low there and drove through the tackler.
After that loss to Toronto, they would go on to defeat North Halton by 15 points. They would also beat Orangeville by 8, York by 17, Clarington by 28, TNT in a 55-0 contest, Woodstock 35-14. TNT again got obliterated by Guelph 41-0. Toronto had a nail-biter again, and Guelph got revenge 37-34 in Guelph. And then last week in Guelph, they hosted a Woodstock team and defeated them 21-5 to get to this championship dance.
Yeah, again, this is a very athletic team. You can see by the scores that they're getting progressively better and better as the year goes on. They're going to have to tighten up the defense at some point a little bit here and not allow York to get those chunk plays. But if you're scoring touchdowns, it doesn't really matter.
And with rain clouds to the south of us, the sun makes an appearance here at TD Stadium. The quarterback keeps it on the run. He's got the first down and more, spins up to the 10-yard line. But lost in the equation was a holding penalty against Guelph that's going to bring this play back.
Yeah, this is unfortunate, but it's the correct call. Sometimes I don't agree with the officials with some of the calls that they make. But this was a blatant one right in front of the referee, and this is what allows the quarterback to escape and go on that scamper that we just saw. So unfortunately, we're going to have the ball come back to about the 41-yard line here, and we're going to be looking at about a 2nd and 16.
The Lions, by the way, I don't know, and this is what's confusing about the default wins in this league. I'd rather than just say default win. I hate the 6-0 scoreboard because, to be honest with you, wouldn't be shocked if it was a 6-0 final in the playoff game one day. But that's how they beat Sudbury, supposedly in Sudbury last week, to get to this championship game for the York Lions, as it goes down as a 6-0 final officially on the OPFL schedule. 2 run to the line, 3 options to the left side. It's a play action. They're going to huck this one deep. And again, overextending the target, and Keon Robinson was the quarterback, and Nico Jean Gaston.
Okay, that's the 3rd time they've gone after that player and that play, so they obviously feel that they've got something going on there. Again, just a fade route, outside release, get right up field, and again, you've got a tall, lanky receiver against a shorter corner. You're staying with them stride for stride, but they did catch one over his head earlier. They like that matchup. They're going to keep going to it.
York started off the regular season 3-0 with wins over Sudbury by a point, North Bay by 5, and Toronto by 8 before losing to the Guelph Griffins 28-9 on June 9th. They huck it deep again, and a receiver just gets one paw on it. They are taking their shot after shot after shot. This time, Karzay Matty, the intended target. And a Lion at the end of that play looks like Jalen Grabble. A little slow to get up.
Okay, they've got something with those matchups on the wide receivers, and that time it was just a slant pattern coming across the middle, or excuse me, it was a post pattern coming across the middle. But they feel the game plan and the play calling that we've seen, Wolves coaches feel that they can get behind the line defense and take their shots.
The punting unit forced to come out with this 4-15 situation with 5 minutes remaining in the opening half and trying to maintain their 1-point lead. Give or take, they booted away from the 50. This is a masterful punt down to the York Lions 5. The punt returner has trouble with it. Is lucky just to fall on the ball. That was Ezekiel Ramble. And number 11 will be marked down officially at the 9-yard line.
So yeah, you're going to have a long field here.
Make that the 8-yard line.
Yeah. 8-yard line is where where the ball was recovered. Again, catching that ball clean, that's such a skill. We didn't see many muff punts or kickoffs in the first game. Not really anything until there.
The entire southern horizon here at the Forest City just reeks of storm. And yet when you look to the north, it's a beautiful sunny day. I guess that's just Canadian August long weekend type weather for you.
Well, welcome to southwestern Ontario, where it's 4 seasons in one day.
So 1st and 10 from deep within their own territory. The Lions trying to go back to work, led by Scott Barnett. The blitz coming, they pitch it to the right side. The running back trying to muscle his way up the field. His lineman trying to push forward. No real movement past the 3-yard gain, though.
A good gain. Again, you don't want to take an unnecessary risk or an unnecessary shot there. You want to get some yards and you get some positive momentum, get out of the shadow of your own end zone. So at this point, 3 yards on first down. Again, carry the 4-yard, the 4-down philosophy. If you're getting 3-4 yards of carry, you run it three or four times in a row, you're going to get a first down every time.
Under 4 minutes remains on the second quarter clock here at TD Stadium, located at Western University in London, Ontario, here for this OPFL Championship action. Play action went off of a plethora of hands. The last player to have a chance at it was Marko Drajovic, and unfortunately for the Lions, incomplete pass brings up 3rd and 6.
That brings up a 3rd and 6. So what you've got here is you've got a slant and an under out concept going on here. So the out tried to make a play on the ball as well. The defender did a good job of having inside position on the slant. So I'm not sure what the quarterback was reading there, unless it was a predetermined 2-man route that they're running.
And Scott Barnett points out something in the defense. He'll send 2 to the line. Looks like this is a handoff, though, and the Guelph team sniffs this one out. I believe that was Devontae Auger, again, getting the duties to bring up 4th down, and will save about 4 yards.
Yeah. Now,
do you concede the safety? Because if you're the Lions, you would then be down by 3 points, a field goal instead of a single rouge. However, you do run the risk of bad punt, a blocked punt, and you never know, the Griffins could be right in your neighborhood before they get their offense back onto the field.
At this point in the game, with it being 7-6 and everything else, my defense, I feel, is playing fairly well. I'm punting this ball away.
We'll see if they punt it or if they concede the safety. The punter for the Lions back at his own 2-yard line, and they are going to boot this one away, and almost blocking it was Ty Dokas. This one takes a kicker's roll to the 50. The punt returner, we're moving it back up the field. And Kazea Matty will be spanned down past the 40-yard line. And I beg your pardon, that was actually Jack Wheeler on the return.
Jack Wheeler, we talked about it again. It's 15 yards when that ball hits the ground. So you can kind of see that. He catches that clean. You're probably seeing the Griffins with the ball inside the 20.
So at the 34-yard line, though, Ron, you said I would take the punt because I trust my defense. Well, York, with 2:44 remaining in the second quarter clock, has to hold the Griffins from within 34 yards to avoid being down again by 7 or more. Because, again, they missed that PAT. The quarterback in Gaston, right behind the line of center, hands this ball off. They motion to the right side, tackled down to the turf is Benjamin Cottrell, but not after gaining about 5 or 6 yards.
Straight power off tackle there. Number 34 gets behind the tackle. And again, fullback kick out block on the DN. Just follows a double team block and it gets through the hole. Stays nice and skinny. Gain of about 6 yards.
You got to think, again, that this is a Guelph Griffins team, Junior Griffins, I should say, that only suffered 1 loss, and that was in their opening game of the season back on May 18th in a 13-10 ball game. Multitude of players jump on both sides of the fence, and, well, the orange flags as a result come out.
Yeah, you had contacts. I think this is going to be an offside call against the defensive end on the far side.
If it is, they would provide Guelph a first down because they only need 4.
Yeah. It's going to be a first down. They're talking to the Guelph captains. They're going to move it up first. It's going to be first down for the Griffins. It was the defensive end.
2:10 now remains before halftime. And man, oh man, offense sells the tickets, defense wins the championships. These teams have only combined so far for 13 points on the board.
Sure doesn't feel like a 13-point total game. You know, there's been some shots there. Both teams are just missing a little bit. But again, the Griffins feel that they've got a matchup outside here, and they want to take advantage of that.
2 run to the line for their quarterback, but they hand it off yet again, and a smothering tackle at the 20-yard line. I don't know if that was 56 and Ryan Stewart.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a manly tackle by Stewart.
We've called his name a couple times here. This is a really active linebacker, big physical kid. Does a great job. What I've noticed about this kid a couple times today is when he gets the tackle on you, he's not letting go, and you're not getting that yak.
So Cottrell gets the 2 yards the hard way thanks to a Ryan Stewart tackle. The quarterback in Gaston goes right behind the line of center as 2 run to the line. It's a pitch play to the far side. The Griffin trying to cut back in, and Andrew Newbigging, and Newbigging gets it up to the 15-yard line to bring up 3rd and short.
So what they're trying to do is they're coming under center. They're coming with a slicer switch motion. So the running back from the right is from the left is going to the right, and the running back from the right is going to the left. So they're trying to get a little bit of a cross buck or a little mix up in the action there. Again, trying to get the linebackers to guess and to react to the first man.
90 seconds remains here before halftime, and our 2nd of 3 broadcasts on the day, our 5th of 6 on your August long weekend. The ball is snapped to the quarterback. He hands this one off, and I believe that was Newbigging again, but this one is not going anywhere.
No, he's going to gain about a half a yard. Maybe it's going to bring up a 4th down here, and now Guelph's got a decision. Do you kick the field goal to extend it to a 4-point lead, or do you go for it?
I have a feeling they're going to go for it, but I would kick the field goal, just granted by everything I've seen this weekend. If the teams would just take what the game was willing to give them, 9 times out of 10, I think they'd pull out the victory.
Well, again, you got to have faith in your kicking game too. We haven't seen anybody line up for a field goal in either of the games so far today, so maybe it just isn't there.
So Guelph's going for it. They go on the QB sneak option to the left side, and they push their quarterback wisely, might I add, and I think they have the first down here.
Yeah, I think you're just going to have enough for a first down, and they are definitely going to give them a first down on that. About the 12-yard line. I think that was closer than what they anticipated, but wow, that was a gutsy call.
Yeah, they needed 2. They got about 3.5 there. As 1st and 10 coming up here on a 7-6 scoreboard in favor of the Guelph Griffins. Looking to add to it here. Nico Jean Gaston, the quarterback behind the line of center. Another pitch play by the Junior Griffins. To the right side, tackled down to the 10-yard line, though. And once again, on this pitch, they've been doing an awful lot to Benjamin Cottrell.
Yeah, but this is all set up by a great down block by number 32 by the Griffins. Brandon Riley does a great job of sealing the end down as we see Guelph taking a timeout. What happened was the slot back came across and picked the linebacker up, and big number 56 couldn't come across to make the play. So you can see it's only a gain of 1 yard on that, but it was a great block just to even get that yard.
Given the fact that there's just 36 seconds left on the clock and they're already within their opponent's red zone, is it safe to say that the Griffins are just going to go for the touchdown here on this drive and let the chips lie where they may if they fail to convert?
Yeah, I would think so. The way that the game's kind of being called, watching both of these teams go, I would say that's a pretty good indication of what's going to happen here. And again, the Griffins, I think that they have a matchup on this near side of the stadium with the wide receiver number 56. I believe it's on number 18 for the Lions. 18 or 16, I can't quite pick up
That'll
the
be
number.
Jonathan Ferreira if it's 18, and if it's 19, it's Aaron Banks-Sidor.
Yeah, well, that's the matchup that they've got, and I think that they like it. And I wouldn't be surprised to see some type of fade pattern or take a shot at the end zone here.
Now, what's ironic is it's 2nd and 8. In theory, Guelph could get a first down without getting a touchdown. The quarterback, again, behind the line of center, takes a snap. Looks like he's going to hang on to it. The play action throws towards the end zone. Touchdown, Griffins! Karzai Matty on a 10-yard strike.
So this is the toughest route pattern to cover. You've got a post corner from the wide receiver bringing the DB in and bringing him back out. And you have a slant motion from the slot back, number 6, and he comes straight across on an out pattern. That's almost impossible to coverage when you get a good clear out route behind it.
So after a 60-yard bomb to Robinson, the quarterback in Nico John Gasson goes back to work here in the last minute of the first half and finds Matty from 10 yards out. The extra point is good, and that's a massive factor because now it's an 8-point lead over the York Lions here with 30 seconds left on the first half clock.
And also just another note there, just witnessing the kicker there, he's got a leg from about 25, 30 yards out. So when you start to get into
They
that
retrieved
range,
that ball from behind the track. I would even give him a little more distance than that, Ron.
yeah, well, it hit just at the back of the end zone. It's just the knucklehead who was trying to catch the ball in the background, let the ball hit the ground.
I
And
feel like you know that knucklehead though somehow.
yeah, well, apple doesn't fall far from the tree, unfortunately. But
What a
again-
shout out, Ron!
I
Like,
know. He's out here on a Sunday volunteering, doing what they can.
that's a good kid right there.
Well, that's debatable.
Trying to give his own son some love and shutting me down on every angle. So if you're the York Lions, I mean, you're down by 8. You're getting the ball back, but you only got 30 seconds to work with, and I assume, not to sprinkle some salt on your wound, Ronnie, but you could force the issue, potentially throw an interception, and then allow more points on the board. This is retrieved at the 33-yard line. They reverse it. The Lions trying to get tricky with it as they motor up the field. That's Christopher Jorstad. He'll eventually be tackled at the 45 and a late flag at the end of the play.
You're going to have either a horse collar or a face mask. I didn't see exactly what happened there, but it was definitely around the head and neck region. So this is going to go up. You're going to have the ball probably about the 50-yard line of the Guelph Griffins with 22 seconds left. Just a little flip reverse there. Yeah, unnecessary roughness, horse collar tackle. It's going to go up 15 yards here. So the York Lions are well within range again, and you complete one long pass. You only need about 10 or 15 yards, and then you can reach the end zone pretty easily.
And even a field goal at least cuts it down a little bit, although I'm sure they're thinking at least try to get 8 here, but 22 seconds, it's a tall order when they're still 49 yards away from Pater. Their quarterback, Scott Barnett, in the gun. He's got 3 options to the left side as 3 run to the line. He cocks it back, throws it over the top. This ball is caught by the Lions, and I believe they have the first down. I think reeling it in, man, how many times are you going to say about CJ? Christopher Jorstad again on the reception.
Yeah, he's had himself a great first half, and again, just a simple post pattern from the slot back. As we see, someone's taking a timeout here.
The Lions are taking a timeout. One thing I'm going to throw out there, I look at the coaching staff of the Griffins, red shirts with white trim. They look like they should be coaching the York Lions staff, and I look at the Lions staff, well, mainly like gray and white polos, which is something I would think would be on the Griffins side of the turf.
Well, again, it's just kind of, it's the flavor of the day, it seems like, for that kind of stuff. Going back to another point there, I think you've got a route combination where you've got a slant and go coming from an inside route because they've hit that corner post route a number of times with that underneath it. If you've got something where you can show post and go vertical on it, you might have something cooking there for York.
18 seconds. The Lions have to go 38 yards, down by 8. And this is just before halftime. So, I mean, there are still plenty more football theatrics to be played out here at TD Stadium in this 2019 OPFL regional contest. The ball is snapped to Barnett. He's looking to go deep. He throws it once again over the top, deflects off to the receiver's hands. Incomplete pass with 13 seconds remaining on the clock.
Yeah, again, just trying to hit that under route or that late mesh route as what we would call it. You've got the post over the top and you've got the under or the mesh coming across. They were trying to hit that, the late man. Guelph did a good job of dropping everybody pretty much back into coverage there.
Barnett once again goes into the pistol, ranges to his left side, waiting for his receivers to get down the field. He's going to take a shot deep. Looked like it could have been intercepted by the Griffins, but there is now 7 seconds left on the clock and a 3rd and 10 coming up.
Literally, there was a slant and go pattern that I was just talking about 2 plays earlier. You can see the inside slant, and then he turns it into a vertical route. trying to run along the seam, and he took a shot for it. And again, rolling back to his left, throwing back to his right, that's an incredibly dangerous throw.
Brings up third down and 10.
So down by 8, ball still at the 38, and they have 6.9 to be exact left on the TD clock. 3 run to the line, and he's got 3 options to the left side, but he throws it to the right. Nobody's there but a Griffin. Intercepted by Guelph for the final play of the opening half.
Yeah, again, just dropping back in the cloud or a 3-back deep safety there. And again, these guys were not going to get beat deep, just dropping into a straight zone play. Gave it everything he had into the wind, mind you, as the wind has picked up a little bit here coming out of the north, just trying to hit something again.
I think he was trying to find Austin Fortier, who he already hooked up with a 30-yard TD bomb. They needed 38 yards on that one to try and bring themselves within, well, potentially tie game if they had to go for the 2-point convert. They're down by 8, so after that missed point after touchdown, after the 30-yard Fortier touchdown, that could be a difference maker when we go into the second half. But Ron, before we go into the halftime break, quickly, your synopsis of what just transpired over the last 24 minutes of football.
Well, again, we've seen both teams kind of rebound from a few things. Like I said, I think Guelph has a matchup that they like on the outside that I feel that they can try to exploit it at any time that they want. I wouldn't be surprised to see them go after that at some point again later on in this half.
For Ron Ferwerda, I am John Urban. The score is 14-8 in favor of the Guelph Junior Griffins, trying to get a little revenge for their compadres in the Bantam scene that fell earlier today, 28-27 to the York Lions here in OPFL Regional Rep Championship action from TD Stadium. After this quick break, we'll have third quarter action after this. Welcome back to TD Stadium. Ron Ferwerda joining yours truly, Johnny Urban, here for the OPFL 2019 Regional Rep Junior Varsity Championship between the York Lions and the Guelph Junior Griffins. During the regular season, these two teams hooked it up on June 9th in Guelph, and the Junior Griffins prevailed 28-9. In the first half of action, their quarterback got it done, and Nico Jean Gaston hooking up with Robinson from 60 yards out and Matty from 10 yards out. A 30-yard bomb, though, prevailing by Scott Barnett, found Fortier in the end zone for York. Unfortunately, they missed the extra point, and as a result, it's a 14-6 game as we boot away the second half of action.
Georgievic on the return.
This one takes a one-hop back to the 20. The Lions kick returner zigzags and tries to make his way past the 25-yard line. And another flag, ironically, to start off this action, as it was Marko Drojevic on the punt or kick return.
Number 46 for the Griffins is going to be called with objectionable conduct, kind of taunting a little bit at the end here. You can't throw down somebody and then kind of stare over them. Piling on is the call. So it's going to go up another 15 yards. The ball's going to be placed at the 45-yard line now.
So any questions or conversations, I should say, about discipline at the halftime break? Well, 7 seconds in, we get our first penalty.
Yeah, and again, it's the heat of the moment. It's the fire of the game. It's been a really well-played game by both teams so far in here. Let's see if one of them can take advantage again. We talked about at the end of the half, I think both teams have a couple of shots that they can take at the other one. It's just whether or not that they can complete them or not.
Scott Barnett was intercepted the last time he was on the field. It was the final play of the opening half. He sends 2 to the line. A blitz is coming from the edge. They actually hand this ball off, though, to the left side. Fighting past the 45-yard line for a gain of maybe 2 yards, though, is Devontae Auger.
Yeah, just an inside zone play. Again, what they're doing is the Griffins are playing like a will cat. So the will linebacker is looping around, coming across the outside, and he's firing down so to bring the extra guy. So what they're doing is just basically running the ball where the linebacker was.
Cameron Snook for the Guelph team in on the tackle to bring up this 2nd and 9 situation with 11:15 remaining here in the third quarter of play. It's play action for the Lions. Their quarterback on the run, though, will just scamper out of bounds through the Griffins bench side. And I don't know about the decision making there, as it only gains another yard or two to bring up a 3rd and 6.
I think number 12 was supposed to be running an option route out there. That was Marko Dredovic, who was supposed to be running that option route. We haven't seen, since he got hurt, Jared Golden, number 2. He was one of the big play receivers for the Lions this year. We haven't seen him since midway through the second quarter, and I think that they're really missing his presence out there.
And they only gave him a yard and a half on that last play, and even the quarterback looks back at the official and can't believe that he got that positioning. 3 run to the line, 3 to the left side. The quarterback throws it as he's hit. It is completed at midfield, and tackled down at the 50 is the Lion. First down, York.
Again, just a little hook route into the open spot of the zone. You can see that right there. It just kind of settles down where the defenders aren't. Quarterback delivers a nice ball on the run.
Kyle Otera collects the pigskin on the reception. So from the 50-yard line, the Lions find themselves in Junior Griffin's territory here, trailing by 8 points with 10:22 remaining in this third quarter. The ball's thrown to the near side and completed at the 41-yard line, as big shout outs to DJ Wonderbread, doing a whole bunch of wonderful things on the volunteer aspects today, including DJing and getting me my bucket hat.
There you go.
My fresh bucket hat that I was told I was getting, like, I don't know, 6 weeks ago. Well, there we go.
Looks like they came in there, Gilligan.
Yeah, that's right. Well, the storm is coming to the south of us. Whether it actually comes in to fruition over this game or the varsity game later on is left to be seen. As this second and short play, they try and huck it over to the far side. I believe that was Christopher Jorstad, the intended target. It still turns into a 3rd and 1 situation instead of a 2nd and 1.
Yeah, 3rd and 1, take a shot. That was a dangerous throw. You know what they're trying to do? They're trying to get that little wide receiver screen to the slot receiver, bubbling out to the outside, and trying to get some cross action, trying to get a natural pick is what they're trying to get. But dangerous passes. The Guelph defense was not fooled at all.
9:30 remains in the third quarter of play. Motion from the backfield, as that looks like Harvey Dick going from the right to the left side. 2 run to the line. A flag on this play. It's handed off, I believe, to Cameron Hassan. Hassan's lucky to get back to the line of scrimmage, though, but we'll see what all these flags are about.
I think Guelph is offside, as I think this is what the call is going to be.
And it was Devontae Auger. I apologize. He seems to be their bulldozer as far as the run game is concerned.
Yeah, he's a big physical runner, and it's offside Guelph. I think the defensive end jumped a little bit earlier, lined up offside.
Gives the first down to the Lions. So we've seen that a handful of times, not only in this game, but in the earlier game of the Bantam scene. Teams get into this 3rd or 4th down situation, then a costly penalty from within 3 or 4 yards out. Even if it's the shortest penalty variety, which is 5 yards, it still gives the team a first down. So Scott Barnett instructing his offense to look at the defense. He takes the snap in the pistol, throws it over the top. Incomplete pass. I believe the intended target yet again was Christopher Jorstad, but Jorstad hadn't even looked up when that ball was released.
Yeah, no, again, Guelph brought a little bit of pressure. He had to throw it, I think, earlier than he wanted to, but you can see what they're trying to do. They're trying to go after that safety position, and that kind of void in between the linebackers and the secondary. It's the 3rd or 4th time that they've gone after that concept route today.
9 minutes remains in the third quarter of play. Down by 8, the York Lions continue to stroll down into Junior Griffin's territory, now at their 36-yard line. This one is handed off to Devontae Auger. Auger, though, is tackled down at the 30-yard line by Jack Wheeler.
Gaining about 4.5 yards, 5 yards on that. Again, just all what they're trying to do is they're just trying to hit that off tackle out of a spread formation and get Guelph to declare how many defenders are in the box and how many if they're in man or zone.
I thought it was 13 Jack Wheeler on the touchdown. The PA announcer announced Kai Zimmerman. That would be number 15 in a Junior Griffin's uniform. Back into the gun goes the quarterback, Scott Barnett, for these Lions. 3 run to the line, 3 options to his right side. He's going to throw it to that right side. A dangerously thrown ball off the fingertips of Jake Barker.
Well, I think that's the second time they've gone for that wide receiver screen look, and Guelph jumped it last time. That could have been an interception. That would have been a dangerous. That was pick 6 written all over it.
4th down from the 30. What do you do here, Coach Ronnie?
I think what they're going to do is I think they're going to take a shot and they're going to go for it. You need about 4.5 yards. If you can get that little soft zone or that soft hook with your slot back receiver in between the linebacker and the safety, it's basically, it should be there.
So
Right
they
there.
need this play right here, but they're not going to get it. Incomplete pass. Great defense by the Junior Griffins. It results in a turnover on down.
I don't know if it was great defense or just the pass was thrown behind him there a little bit on that. It was the right route concept and everything else, and you had the out under the wide side of the field. I think I would have taken that one because it was almost, you had the corner bailing on the far side, on the near side here as well. The out was wide open for the first down as well.
They turn over the ball, though. I believe that's the second time in this game the Lions went for it, and they failed to convert. Actually, it was funny because both teams tried to convert early with a QB sneak, and both quarterbacks fumbled the ball and lost. They maintained possession, but lost on the yardage to turnover on downs. So the quarterback on the handoff to the right side and trying to make his way up the field yet again is Benjamin Cottrell. They've used this kid in practically every position, Ron.
Yeah, he's really been their kind of go-to, their weapon that they've had today. So let's see if they can keep utilizing him. A good gain of about 3.5, 4 yards on that. Second and about 6 there. And all they're trying to do is just get that off tackle again. But it's a really slow handoff. Look for if York continues to react to that slow handoff, look for the quarterback to get some type of boot action going off of that.
Above us here in the skies of TD Stadium, beautiful blue with white puffy clouds, but when I look to the south of the Forest City, it looks like nothing but rainy overcast, and yet for now, it's avoided us. The quarterback triple pump faking and then going off for the run, and he's got the first down. Nico Jean Gaston, pump fake one more time, and the tire's gonna explode, good sir.
Wow, that was, he pumped it once, he pumped it twice, and then just got skinny in there, and then pumped it in what I thought was in the middle of the pocket. I'm like, what are you doing throwing it now? You're not going to get anything on there. But he froze the defender that was in front of him, made him jump, and he was able to sneak under there.
So right behind the line of center goes Nico Jean Gaston to approach the line. This is a pitch, though, to his teammate in Benjamin Cottrell. Cottrell to the right side, gains about 8 yards on this pitch play.
Yeah, just a simple toss play to the right side of the wide side of the field, gets to the edge, and gets his shoulders nice and square. Good finish on that run, too.
Less than 6 minutes remains in this third quarter of action. You can tell whoever scores the next points, I'm not going to say they're going to win the game, but they surely are putting themselves in good position. If Guelph were to go up by 2 possessions, man, it puts so much pressure on the York Lions. And if the Lions somehow stop them on the defense, come back with the offense, and get a 2-point convert, imagine all the momentum in the world goes back into the Lions' sails. The quarterback, again, is going to hand this one off to Benjamin Cottrell. Cottrell only needs 2 yards here, partner. I know he's got 1 for sure. Is the official give him the second one?
No, he's going to be short by about 1 yard here. And I think you're going to see the same type of play call coming next time. But again, they've got something on the wide side of the field there to that wide receiver. I think they can dial that up anytime they want.
If you joined us earlier today, it was the Guelph Junior Griffins versus the York Lions. Yeah, the exact same 2 programs in the Bantam scene, and it was a classic 28-27 in favor of the Lions. They give this on a handoff to the left side, and that's actually Sam Taylor getting the carry for the first down.
Just a little bit of cross buck motion in the backfield. The back from the left going to the right, the back from the right going to the left. Inside dive play to just get enough for a first down. Good gain of about 3 or 4 yards.
So you mentioned it earlier, though, that this Junior Griffin squad last year won the regional rep Bantam championship. A lot of those players would have graduated into this junior varsity team that we're seeing on the field right now. And let's face it, 1 good quarter and 4 minutes and 20 seconds away from getting a championship at this level is, again, Benjamin Cottrell, a little BC action to the right side up to the 50-yard line of the Lions.
Same play design, just give it to the second back coming through this time. and he gains again about 6 yards. Again, it's that cross buck kind of motion that they're showing in the backfield. Now they're not blocking it as such on the offensive line, but it's still that left to right, right to left, hit the second man underneath it.
Just looking down at the field level, looking at the Guelph Griffins and Jesse Garvin and his teammate and Jack Wheeler just trying to stretch out and stay loose. With their offense out onto the field with 3:38 remaining in the third quarter, 2 run to the line. It's a snap that's a bit low, handled by Nico Jean Gasson. Gasson, though, is going to be sacked almost around the original line of scrimmage to bring up a 3rd and 10, but man, oh man, another flag coming up here. And
You're
it's
gonna
a
have
hold.
holding, yeah. You're gonna have holding against the Guelph Griffins here. Obviously, it's gonna decline it, so you're gonna take the sack on the play and bring up 3rd down.
3:31 remains on the TD score clock here in the third quarter of action. A big shout out to Ron Ferwerda. This is your 3rd broadcast of this long weekend. A big shout out to the entire Melrose clan doing the producing, the camera work, as well as some DJing in there too, with DJ Wonderbread on the 1s and 2s. The quarterback for Guelph goes back into the gun, as they will send everybody in an empty backfield. He's going to have to get rid of it. He does, as he's bumped in and out of the hands of the intended target, though. As that was Keon Robinson, who had a 60-yard TD strike earlier, but they have yet to get on the same page since then.
Yeah, again, that was the kind of the matchup I kept going with this, that they've got something out there. That time it was a good defensive position. Again, York brought pressure. Quarterback didn't have all the time in the world to step up and step into that throw.
We also got a big shout out to Mr. Stoddard. Now, this is a funny story. During the halftime break, his mom, Kim, was serenaded by our own Mr. Melrose on the PA system for happy birthday. And I was like, Kim's daughter? Who's Kim's daughter? I didn't realize all that. There wasn't saying daughter. It was saying Kim's last name. So, great work by Kim's son during her birthday for an incredible camera work all long weekend long here. The punt goes down to the 25, returned to the 30 by the Lions with less than 3 minutes remaining in the third quarter.
Yeah, again, you're waiting for someone to do something in the second half here. The second half feels kind of tight. It feels kind of tight so far,
But that benefits Guelph with the 8-point lead.
Yeah, it absolutely does. But you're only within 1 score of each other right now. So we saw how quickly momentum can swing earlier in today. 14 points kind of back to back there for the York Regional Lions.
Yeah, earlier today in that Bantam game, they trailed 7-0, 14-7, and then took a 21-14 lead and managed to hang on to that 28-27 victory, large in part because the Guelph Griffins Bantam team, with 2:06 left on the clock, elected to go for a 2-point convert instead of playing it safe. Here, the York Lions offensively get down the field and a nasty hit down the sidelines, and immediately that made me wince in pain as he went tumbling off of the track, and that track has absolutely no give here at TD Stadium.
No, he's pushed out of bounds a little bit aggressively as we're just waiting for the clock to the timekeeper to kind of keep it there. There were flags on the field as I thought he was given a late hit on that, so it's going to be 15 yards added to the end of this run. So this ball is going to be placed probably about the 45, 46 yard line, somewhere around there.
So an undisciplined penalty by Guelph ends up dearly costing them when you consider that they can bend but they can't break with that 8-point lead. You talked about the stalemate benefiting Guelph. Well, if all of a sudden they're giving up yardage via penalties, that's not going to help their cause.
No, they're actually marking this against it. They're calling a holding call.
Wow.
Against York.
And the Lion player is still in quite a bit of distress on the far sideline. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that is Christopher Jorstad, and that's the second time in this game that he's been banged up, and he's been a bit of a Swiss Army knife for them in this game, having to be doing a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's just the wind that got knocked out of him on that last play. He fell pretty hard onto the track as we see him kind of up and about now, but he went down hard on that track.
It's one thing I never understood here at Western University, why in the world you would surround a turfed football field with a track. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't care if you're trying to make up for geographical space or not, Ronnie. They also have a track, ironically, around their varsity hockey arena, which is just a block away here at Thompson Arena. So again, I know they're just trying to utilize space, but I think there's a time and space for individual sports, and sometimes they don't have to interact with one another. And having that track around this TD turf, it is not comforting when you go out of bounds and you start to fall down.
And it's a short trek from the track to the field there, because there's no real buffer zone there.
2 run to the line for Scott Barnett, who settles down the high snap, throws it over to his left side. The pass is completed. This looks like a first down for the Lions, but yet again, there's another penalty flag, this time back at the 37-yard line.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a late hit on the Griffins on the quarterback, so I think this is going to be roughing the passer here. So it's going to be a 15-yard penalty added on the end of this run. Yeah, exactly.
And you're right, reffing the passer is the call. So you thought earlier that the Lions were going to benefit from a call. It didn't work out, but this time they are going to benefit from a call. We've seen a plethora of penalties in this second half. I thought the penalties would kind of calm down. If anything, they've ramped up.
Yeah, they've kind of ramped up a little bit here, and it's, again, it's just...
At least when I say that, I'm not talking about the 5-yard encroachment or, procedure calls. I'm talking about big ones, 10, 15 variety.
Well, it's been a really cleanly played game, like fundamentally wise, but it's the emotions that are coming into it. People taking that extra shot and that one extra step.
No gain on this run play. Drops it down off the chart. It brings up 2nd and 10.
Again, just trying to get that inside zone play going a little bit there, and it's just Guelph's done a good job of shutting that down a lot all day.
As you see another York Lions team gathering behind the York Lions bench, the 3rd York Lions team that has a chance at championship glory here on your regional rep OPFL Sunday action here on your August long weekend live from TD Stadium. Under a minute remaining here in the 3rd quarter of action, down by 8. It is these York Lions trying to will themselves back into this game. 2 run to the line, blitz coming from the Griffins. Rolling back as the quarterback, going deep into double coverage. This ball is caught by the Lions, and Kyle Otero into the red zone down at the 6.
Now we've said that both teams have had a couple things where they can go after here. York has gone after that soft seam route in between the linebacker and the safety, and that's exactly where they completed that ball. Good job going up and competing for that ball, though.
So just like that, the York Lions find themselves within their opponent's red zone, and I imagine now that 8 points isn't looking like such a tall mountain to climb. Now this will be the final play of the 3rd quarter, barring a penalty. Barnett takes the snap, hands this one off to his running back, who skips off of 1 tackle but can't get off of the 2nd one, and Devontae Auger. I don't mind that play design, but for Auger, he never gets the opportunity to get out of the backfield, and as a result, they lose a yard or 2 on this play.
Yeah, he was hit in the backfield right away by 2 blitzing Griffins. Came through unblocked and hit him. He did a good job of maintaining balance and getting back close to the original line of scrimmage, even though he lost a couple yards.
I'm still holding my breath for our York Lions and Guelph Griffins swag friend up here in the broadcast booth located at the London Free Press Media Center here at TD Stadium. As again, we have already called 2 games featuring the Guelph Griffins and the York Lions. We won't call 3 games featuring the Guelph Griffins program, but we will call 3 involving the York Lions, ironically enough.
Yeah, and again, it's really been York's day, for a program coming out party, and they've really showed up well. They need to make a play here, though. You're starting to run out of time. I know it's a 1-score game, but you're going to be chasing points at some point in here, and you've got to be able to convert one of these.
They're down by 8, and they have the ball at the 8, so that's a long field to flip from the 3rd to the 4th quarter.
Yeah. And now, again, York's going to be going into the wind now, so the wind is going to be a factor as this game wears on, and it's going to be at Guelph's back.
It's good to see the John McKay Jumbo Zone from Coach Tripp. Also got a lovely shirt that you wanted, Ronnie.
What, the yellow one?
No, not the security one. I'm talking about the nice OPFL Premier shirt that he has in his hand.
There you go.
Everybody's getting spoiled at TD Stadium thanks to the OPFL.
On the 12th, 8-yard line.
So 2nd and 8.
2nd and goal.
Correct. They need 8 yards, Ronnie.
Yeah.
As it's a play action into the end zone. Touchdown, Lions. An 8-yard strike. And they need, I would assume, to go for the 2-point convert to try and tie this game up.
Yeah, at this point, you know, the 1 point doesn't mean anything, but a tie game would be massive. Again, just a little slant route. Show the outside, need a little bit of shake and bake, hit it back inside. The DB gives up the inside track, and the quarterback does a good job of just firing the ball into the space.
Machias Harvey Dick receives the ball on that slant route. Great job by the quarterback to lead him into the end zone too, and Scott Barnett. But this is a big, big play here in order to try and tie this game up. What would you do, Ron?
I go back to a similar type of route they've had some success with. If that safety's playing that high, you've got a linebacker who has to come out here, and 48's wide open.
The ball is snapped. He is wide open, and the ball is caught. Now, there's a late flag on this field. And to be honest with you, I don't even have a number 48 on my list. And they're saying it's actually number 45, Devontae Auger with the catch.
So it's a late hit roughing the passer. Personal foul here that's going against Guelph. So again, talk about you've now tied the game at 14-all, but you're going to be kicking the ball from the 55-yard line again. You get a good kick and some coverage. You've really done a great job flipping this field.
And after having a scoreless third quarter, we finally see a major here in the second half with 11:52 remaining in the fourth quarter of play. The 2-point convert is good, and we're tied up at 14 apiece. Man, oh man, when I came to TD Stadium on our Sunday, I was kind of yawning at the fact, like, what do you mean? I'm going to call it Guelph versus York, Guelph versus York, and York versus a not Guelph team? I don't really see the thrill in that. Well, as far as I'm concerned, York and Guelph can play every game of every level because every game has come down to the wire.
Yeah, this has been a fantastic game of football to celebrate these two programs and the organization of the regional rep programs. This is the cream of the crop at the regional rep program level. But again, it really is. For me, it's been about the coming out party for the York Lions, who again joined the OPFL this year and have done a fantastic job of really establishing themselves at all levels.
And they're looking to go 2 for 2 and possibly 3 for 3 on your regional rep Sunday championship action from TD Stadium after prevailing already against another Guelph team in the Junior Griffins Bantam squad, 28-27, ironically the same Bantam score we saw yesterday between the Sooners and the Junior Mustangs. So Turo kicks this one all the way down to the 6-yard line. It is received by the Guelph Griffins.
He's gone.
And they have a seam, and this kid could go all the way. Does he have enough? I think he does. This would be a 105-yard kick return touchdown for the Griffins. My, oh my, what a play. No flag on the field.
Check this again. We talked about it a number of times. Catch the ball in the air, get north-south, hit a seam. This is exactly what he does. Bang! He's off to the races. That's a good little block in there, making sure you're not hitting anybody too much, just kind of getting his way. Talk about flipping the momentum page, which had clearly, for me, tracked on the side of York.
Benjamin Cottrell. He had been used an awful lot with the offense, relied on the punt and the kick returns. But the second that the York Lions came back from down by 8 and converted on a 2-point convert, you talk about swinging and stealing the momentum right back into your team's favor. 105-yard kick return touchdown. The snap and the hold is good. And Ronnie, I mean, I look at that kid's leg, and he's got a lot of gusto in that boot in case they need a field goal late for the Griffins.
Yeah, you know, again, I'm going to give a shout-out to the idiot who actually caught the ball at the back of the track this time. I don't like him reaching up with his hands and getting that, but, you know, he did a good job of catching the ball.
I'm noticing the luxurious flow. That must come from his father's genetics.
Yeah, well, it also comes with the fact he hasn't cut his hair in 3 months.
11:35 remains here in the fourth quarter of play. And my, oh my, it is already a 21-14 game in favor of the Guelph Junior Griffins, thanks to the 105-yard kick return touchdown from Benjamin Cottrell.
You want something, you've got something short here on the outside because you've got no coverage from the 50-yard line out.
The Lions are late to get personnel onto the field, too.
you still have something outside here if you want it.
For Guelph, number 6.
As Dennis Master, sort of late to the party, number 14 draws on the near edge, but the Junior Griffins will elect to boot this one down, and it's collected on a backstroke to the 10-yard line. The kick returner trying to make his way back up the field, but no, we're not going to get a giant 106-yard kick return touchdown here. Instead, as I see some tomfoolery after the whistle between a York Lion and Jalen Grabble and the Guelph Griffin in Matthew Ness.
Yeah, again, you know, good kick, good job of not letting that ball hit the ground, because that would have rolled into the end zone and you would have been given and then you would have been back down to that 8-point deficit again. So, although the ball's on the 20-yard line, you know, that's not a bad play for the Lions. But again, you're starting to run out of time. You've got to make a play or two here to at least get some first downs.
So unbelievable. After Guelph had a 60-yard touchdown to Robinson, York responded with a 30-yard touchdown to Fortier. As now the quarterback looking to go down to the near sideline. Great defense by the Griffins, not allowing the intended target this time, and Cameron Hassam to collect the ball.
If you're going to throw that out, you got to throw that out quicker, because that allowed the defensive player to get the inside track on that ball, and he had a chance of making a play off that, and it would have been a pick six, and that would have just about sealed it at this point. But you've got to throw that corner route that they had underneath it.
So again, 105-yard kick return touchdown just after Harvey Dick had collected an 8-yard TD strike for the Lions as the Guelph Junior Griffins regained their lead. This one goes doink off the back of the helmet of Christopher Jorstad, the intended target, who, well, it's safe to say he wasn't looking in the right direction.
Yeah, unfortunately, it just really wasn't paying attention to what was going on, and just a mix-up between the quarterback and the receiver on that route.
11 minutes remains here in this championship dance. Thank you for tuning around everywhere. In the shotgun position goes the quarterback, Ryan Barnett. Barnett's going to keep this, though, on the QB draw. Tries to go right up the gut. Fierce pushing and shoving taking place at the 25-yard line.
Yeah, a little bit of extracurricular activity. We're getting to the nail-biting part of the game here, and brings up a fourth down. Guelph's got to maintain their composure. You put a drive together down here, you've got a chance of icing this game here.
So the ball at the 25. 10:26 left in this OPFL Regional Rep Championship game. Any given Sunday style football here at TD Stadium. Ron Ferwerda and yours truly, Johnny Urban, taking you through the action. Thanks to the Purple Kool-Aid production crew getting us through this wonderful August-long weekend. As this one will be just booted away, almost blocked as it bounces at the 45. And then a whistle goes. What happened there, Ron?
I'm not sure. I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure why the whistle would have been blown there.
And they placed the ball at the 45-yard line. First down, Guelph.
That had an opportunity to be blocked. I actually thought number 1 for the Griffins was coming off the edge there, and I thought he had a clean path. That was Ty Dokas. He just had to lay out for that ball, and I believe he would have blocked that punt.
Well, Junior Griffins 21, Lions 14.
The ball at the 45-yard line with 10 minutes left in this championship dance. Guelph trying to nail some into the coffin of the Lions and get some revenge for their Bantam boys who lost to the same York Lions program earlier today, 28-27. It is the Junior Griffins going on the run here. I believe that was Andrew Newbigging on the carry.
Yeah, number 22 just off the left side there. Just a straight off tackle play out of that split back formation. Good gain of about 4.5 yards on that.
And after seeing the York Lions come out for a third time today and warming up in the southbound beyond the end zone, I see those Bulldogs, the North Bay Bulldogs. Hey, welcome to TD Stadium, Bulldogs. Why am I so glad to see you? Because I've seen a lot of York and a lot of Guelph today. as there is another run play by the Griffins. I thought that the defense had actually jumped, but not according to the officials, and it brings up third down.
Again, just throwing something else out there, North Bay is the defending OPFL regional rep champion, winning last year in Hamilton as well, in a dramatic game.
At the varsity level.
Yes.
So they're looking to go back-to-back here in London, Ontario.
Yes, they are. And again, they're very distinct uniforms, the brown and the gold.
Yeah, the yellow buckets and the yellow numbering and lettering, and then you're right, it's sort of a bronzish, grayish brown tone to the jersey color. The quarterback flushed out of the pocket. The ball is caught, though, at the 30-yard line. The guy gets a block down the near sidelines into the end zone. Touchdown, Griffins from 41 yards out. Karzai Matty has his second touchdown of the game.
This is just the under route, the out that we've kept talking about all day that's so hard to cover in the Canadian game. Does a good job sticking his foot in the ground. Nobody from the linebacking core tracked over. And again, everyone was kind of looking around at everybody else. Gets that ball to the flats with great speed, able to get vertical, and took it in from about 40 yards out.
2 catches, 51 yards, 2 touchdowns for Karzai Matty. Got to be feeling pretty good in this championship dance because, man, he, after this point after touchdown, has officially doubled the lead up for the Guelph Junior Griffins as the kid in the end zone makes a nice catch.
Yeah, not too bad. Let's see him try to throw. Oh, that's an underhand throw, but...
And he's supposed to be a center fielder.
Wow, he thinks he is.
8:27 remains here in this ball game. If you're a York Lions fan, you're kind of thinking, okay, we got to go, and we got to go now as far as your offense is concerned, down by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, you're running out of time. You've got to put a drive together right now. There is no more tomorrows. Every cliche in the book that you want to throw out, it's there now. You need to score. You need to score quickly, and you need to get the ball back. That was a backbreaking play by for the Griffins. But again, the Griffins, good job, good composure. Let's see if they can maintain the pressure.
The last time the Junior Griffins played the York Lions, they beat them in Guelph on June 9th by 28-9. Well, they've matched their offense so far in this game because they already have 28 points on the board. Now, can their defense do their job, as this will be a long drive needed by, well, let's face it, 90-plus yards needed for the York Lions in order to hit pay dirt.
Yeah, you're looking at a really, really long field. With the wind at your back, he was able to punch that over his head. And again, we saw the difference between catching the ball in the air and it hitting the ground. That trickled back all the way to the 2-yard line, and it cost his team a good 10, 12 yards on the return. I've been harping that over the last 2 days because it is such a huge factor.
So from the 14-yard line, the York Lions go back to work here, down by 14 with 14 points offensively so far in this game. The quarterback in Barnett rolls back in the pocket to the near side. Now, all over the York line that time, Devontae Auger. He wanted a call, Ronnie didn't get one. Why was that?
Because he's behind the line of scrimmage. That's why. He's considered a running back. He was throwing that by the time the receiver had got in there. He's still fighting for the ball, but it had being behind the line of scrimmage, so there was no pass interference call.
7:59 remains in this championship dance here at TD Stadium in London, Ontario's Western University. And again, 28-14 is the score here in favor of the Junior Griffins, with their defense on the field looking to hold down this empty backfield of the Lions. They're going to throw it over the top, right off the fingertips of the intended target. You got to reel that in. Macias Harvey Dick, who already had that big 8-yard touchdown. But that touchdown by Harvey Dick seemed to somehow wake up the Junior Griffins. A 105-yard kick return touchdown performed by Benjamin Cottrell, and then a 41-yard TD catch by Karzai Matty.
Yeah, you know, and really since that touchdown, it's been all Guelph. We were talking about, hey, maybe York is
going to come down to the wire again.
It's going to come down to the wire, but if they don't make a play here soon, it's the wire has already been come.
3rd and 10. The running back has the first down and more. It's a gain of roughly 16 yards, and Man, it looked like he was going to go to the right. Then Devontae Auger cut against the grain back to his left.
That's the classic zone run. You want to press the hole and make a decision to have a cutback lane. That time the cutback lane came to the wide side of the field. He did a good job squaring his shoulders up and finishing the run north-south.
1st and 10 from the 30-yard line. 7 minutes remains on the fourth quarter clock. 2 run to the line. Looks like another handoff, though. As Devontae Auger is spun around down at the 35. Is that another horse collar, friend?
Yeah, that's a tackle around the head. That's a necessary roughness call. That's going to be an additional 15 yards. So they're going to have the ball about the 45-yard line here by the time we're done, 46-yard line.
And I like how both officials caught that one, because we did see an incident earlier in this game that did go undetected, although it looked blatant from the broadcast booth.
Yeah, and again, the classic definition of the horse collar and what you're looking at is that change of direction that can only be caused by grabbing inside either the jersey or the shoulder pad unit itself. You can't tackle somebody around the head and change the direction of their body like that. It's just not allowed anymore.
6:52 remains on the scoreboard. The Junior Griffins coaching staff wanting a bit of an explanation from the officials after the end of that call.
Well, that was the second UR, so if he gets one more, he's out. That's what they're explaining to him. They were telling the bench that he did have the 2 there.
And again, a reminder that after this contest, we have a varsity championship game at hand between the North Bay Bulldogs and the York Lions, who have a 3rd straight team appearing here on your championship Sunday. Once again, it's a carry by Devontae Auger. Auger, again, is used as the bulldozer when it comes to the ground game, but he's lucky to gain a yard or 2 on this affair.
Again, Guelph's defense has really played well in the second half, other than that one long drive that they gave up. The York Lions really have had nothing going on, as we have a injury on the field. Yeah, we have an injury on the field.
So Guelph beat the York Lions back on June 9th by a score of 28-9. That was in Guelph. It's funny because they've put up the same 28 points so far on the board, but yeah, their defense has given up 5 more points. And they have some wiggle room here. Yeah, they can give up a touchdown, but not 2 wrong.
Now, you can't give up the 2, and again, when you're looking at this is a second down play coming in, you're starting to get to the point where you need to get another big chunk play. You're starting to run out of time, and again, the Canadian game, 3 minutes is a long time, but you need 2 scores, and you have to count. If you can't get an onside kick, that's 3 possessions in a 6-minute window. You're really getting it close.
Trying to make out the number of the injured player. I believe it's Griffin Hugley, number 48, holding on to that left arm. He appears to be okay, though, as he's on the sidelines and going off to the medical tent here. 6:24 remains on the championship scoreboard here. With the gold and all the glory, the finalists, the MVP trophies, and the championship all laid out on the table on the sidelines. They know what these boys are playing for.
Yeah, exactly. And again, these guys have done a fantastic job.
Into the gun goes Scott Barnett. Looks over to his left. It's a play action. Throws it over the top. Ball is caught by the receiver, Macias Harvey-Dick, who makes up for the drop pass earlier. And it looks like he's close to the first down marker, and the officials move the chains. It's a first down for the Lions.
Again, but you need more chunk plays than this. You can't be as patient. You've got to get some chunk yards happening in here sooner or later.
Less than 6 minutes remains now on the TD scoreboard. Here in 2019 OPFL Regional Rep Junior Varsity Championship action. And again, a reminder, we got another game still in this bag, as this is a low snap, bobbled on the ground, and, you know, some fans might look at that and go, what are you doing? But I think Devontae Auger does the right thing there and just falls on the pigskin after the bad snap.
Yeah, it's smart play just to fall on the ball, maintain possession, line up and redo it again. But again, a huge loss of about 12 yards on that play here, John. As again, this is the last game that you and I are going to be working together this year. And again, Johnny Liquid Sex Urban, it's been an absolute pleasure calling the games with you all year and part of last year as well.
Well, the voice of an angel has truly been a pleasure to be joining me in the broadcast booth for 3 of these 5 games that I've called this weekend. As the Lions continue to rumble up the field, this ball is caught around the 40-yard line. Ronnie, we've seen some crazy games. We've called some crazy games. Man, oh man, I'm not trying to throw salt in the wound, but it really would have been nice to conclude this season with a Bantam Championship win. 1 point. I tip my hat to you and the entire coaching staff, though. Somebody has to win a Classic and somebody has to lose one. I don't think that anybody in a Junior Mustang side should feel ashamed after one heck of a championship game.
No, and it was a great year for these kids. They've done a fantastic job. They worked hard. Great desire and dedication from all the coaches and the players and the parents as well.
Devontae Auger right up the middle as they faked it to the right side. Another first down as he's knocking on the doorstep of the red zone at the 22-yard line.
22-yard line, just a straight-ahead plow play. But again, the clock is running. The clock is running. You've got to score quickly because you can't count on getting the onside kick. So you have to take 2.5. You have to take 2 minutes off the clock for that. So if you're looking at that, you're looking at, if you stop Guelph, getting the ball back with 90 seconds, maybe a minute left in the game. You've got to score.
Yeah, they got to score on this drive first, though, as there is 3 options to the right side. It's a QB draw again, a late QB draw at that. I don't know if that was the true design of the play, but yet Scott Barnett gains a handful of yards on it anyway.
It's a zone read play, so they're waiting for the linebacker to come across, but the DN slow played both of it. So we didn't know if he should hand the ball off or just run the quarterback zone read on that. That time he kind of got caught in no man's land. Great play by the DN.
So again, if you joined us yesterday, congratulations to the Ottawa Sooners in the Bantam scene, the Durham Dolphins in the junior varsity scene, the Essex Ravens in the varsity scene, as this one's going deep into the end zone. Caught! Touchdown Lions! An 18-yard strike draws them to within a touchdown.
And this is a big point to this. This is before the 3-minute warning. So after the kick, you're going to get the 3-minute warning, and then the clock is going to stop. So by the York Lions scoring there, it basically is going to give them another timeout.
Now, in this game, with a 2-touchdown performance, it's Karzai Maddie for the Guelph Junior Griffins. Now, with a 2-touchdown performance for the York Lions, it's Harvey Dick. 3:01 remains here on the scoreboard. You asked them to score in a hurry, Ron, and they obliged. The York Lions are trying to keep this championship hopes alive. The snap is good. The hold is down. It looked like they were going to get to the kicker, though, but somehow, some way, it splits the uprights, and we got a 28-21 ball game here from TD Stadium.
Wow, the holder does a great job. The holder actually did bobble that ball a little bit and then got it down. Good composure by the kicker and everything else, able to get that in. That would have been a massive miss at this point in the game.
And you mentioned it with 3:01 remaining on the scoreboard. Did they attempt the onside kick right here, right now?
I think you have to, because you can't let Guelph bleed the clock out. I think you have to go for the onside kick. You need 1 score to tie, you need 2 scores to win, and you have maybe 2 possessions left in this game. So, I think you go for it now. I think you have to.
So with the ball at the 45, it's placed on the pin. And again, for these York Lions, they need the ball back in a hurry. They're still down by 7 despite the 18-yard TD strike from Scott Barnett to Harvey Dick that just happened. So where do they put this one, Ronnie?
Middle.
Right up the middle?
Right up the middle.
So the lone man right on the Western logo at midfield is probably the man they're going to target. Instead, they go to the far side. It's caught cleanly. Multiple flags on this play. I think the Lions, though, were offside.
I'm not sure. Somebody's offside, but where they're throwing the flag, actually, it looked like it was Guelph that was, it was the York Lions that were offside on there. So Guelph got the recovery. That's exactly what the call was.
But even if somehow York had gotten that ball back, it was coming back regardless because of the offside.
Yeah, and I don't know. The kicker kind of did it weird where he looked to be kicking it, and then they got their timing messed up. He stopped and then went up again, so that's on the kicker, unfortunately.
Is there any possibility for the kicker to just not kick the ball then and then tell his team to reset?
There's a possibility, but
you never see it happen, but I'm just wondering, can you do it, though?
Yeah, you can do it. It's the same motion and everything else. You're allowed to come to the line and come back and reset.
Because if you're stuttering, like you said, you're likely to throw the rest of your team offside, whereas if you realize you're stuttering, you can go, wait a minute, let's reset everything from square one.
Yeah, it's tough to do.
I know, for sure. Well, I mean, the reason why it's tough to do, you never see it happen. A pitch play for the Guelph Junior Griffins with their offense back on the field. A first down and more. They need 1 or 2 more big plays, and at least providing one to begin with is Benjamin Cottrell. This is the same gentleman that rumbled for 105 yards on a kick return TD.
He's been a real difference maker for the Guelph Griffins here today. A fantastic job getting it north and south, staying nice and low and finishing that run. Good gain of about 15 yards on that. One more big play like that, and that'll just about do it.
The Lions need their defense to stand tall like a brick wall here with the ball at their 33-yard line. Guelph snaps the ball from Jean Gaston, as again, Nico Jean Gaston hands this ball off, but there is a penalty flag here.
Yeah, we got holding against the Griffins here on the interior of the line, right at the point of attack. I believe it was the left guard who held for the Griffins. Again, you're going to take 2:25 left. You definitely want to take the penalty because that's going to keep the clock stopped.
And that is a massively costly penalty for these Guelph Griffins, as again, it was Benjamin Cottrell getting them down to the 30, and a holding penalty takes it back close to the 40.
But again, the more important fact out of that is the play's not blowing in until the whistle goes, until the snap is in. So that, again, it's like giving York another timeout.
Plethora of whistles going off.
Just respotting the ball.
2:25 now remains in this championship game. You're tuning in to 2019 OPFL Regional Rep Championship competition here at the junior varsity level. Earlier today was the Bantam scene, 28-27 in favor of the York Lions against Guelph, ironically enough. And it's Guelph now on the junior varsity side trying to get a little revenge for their Bantam compadres, as this will be a play that continues to move up to the 35-yard line. Refusing to go down was the ball carrier for the Junior Griffins.
Again, what was really impressive about that was he kept 2 hands on that ball, but he also he kept in bounds, so it keeps the clock running. The second and here you go. Now you can take 20 seconds off of it. One more first down here for the Griffins, and it's over.
Now we're approaching 2 minutes remaining in this game. It's a second and long, though, for the Griffins. So, again, the Lions just can't let them get past the 22-yard line. As the ball is snapped, this is a play action. The pressure is coming. Quarterback throws it deep. A chance to intercept it. And I believe they may have intercepted at the 10-yard line. The Lions, with a $1.49 left in this game, have a chance.
I do not understand that play call at all. Why do you take a shot like that? If you're going to throw the ball, you make it a high percentage, low risk pass. I know they're trying to go for the win and kill for the, but run the clock out. You've now given York an opportunity to get back in this game.
The only more bizarre thing that could possibly happen is a York Lions touchdown, and then they try and go for a 2-point convert and miss. That's the only one. If that happens, I bid you adieu, Ron Ferwerda, and I'm out.
Yeah, you know, at this point, you know.
We have a certain buddy that goes, wait a minute, oh, I'm out here, oh, I'm out here, I'll do one of those to you, Ronnie.
Yeah, and I might join you if that's the case, because that would be the end of it.
Well, we would destroy the London Free Press Media Center as a result. The Lions, though, are going backwards as their quarterback is thrown down to the turf. And Scott Barnett upset at his team after that play.
You know, is what these kids don't understand. This clock is going to start in a second here. You got to hustle. You've got number 12, who's 10 yards downfield there, who's not getting back to the huddle. You got to get your butt in gear and get going.
And as that whistle is blown by the head official, there is a $1:40 left on the clock with the time continuing to drip down against the Lions. They have to go 106 yards here in order to make it all the way down to tie this game up. The quarterback avoids the pressure, and you know what? If he didn't step up by a yard or two, he would have been sacked in the end zone, and that would have been a safety. And all but sealed the victory for Guelph.
Yeah, and again, you're in desperation mode here for the York Lions. They have no choice but try to go for it and throw the ball here, even on 4th down. So at this point, you're just hoping to get about half the yards back. Let's get back to the original line of scrimmage. Let's get about 10 or 12 yards back, so we make it a 3rd and manageable, and then reset it.
3rd and 17 coming up here for the York Lions from their own 2-yard line. But again, if it wasn't for the quick feet of Scott Barnett, their quarterback, could have been sacked in the end zone. It could have been a safety. 3 run to the line, quads to the far side. Instead, the quarterback pitches this one. Now they get out from behind their own end zone, but not by much, up to the 7-yard line. This will bring up 4th and roughly 14, or 13, I apologize, for potentially the final offensive play of the game for the York Lions.
Well, and again, York has taken their final timeout here, but what I really like about that, it was a smart high percentage pass. I still can't get over the fact that Guelph tried to take a shot downfield on that pass there, and again, it's just really, really difficult to understand what that decision was.
Trying to put the foot through their opponent's throat, but it backfired, partner.
Yeah, you've got to run the clock out. You've got to play the time. You've got to play, where the situations are in the game. I get the let's go for the throat, let's put the game away and everything. And if you complete it, it's a great call.
Well, they have managed to put 28 points on the board, Ron.
Yeah, and again, I would have liked to have seen them run, take a minute off there, punt the ball down there. We'd still be looking at this type of situation, but we'd be looking at about 45 seconds left in the game.
So it comes down to this. From their own 7-yard line, the York Lions need to get at least 13 yards on this play in order to keep the game alive, down by 7 in a 28-21 game.
Yeah, they're gonna bring no pressure whatsoever. They're gonna drop 8 in coverage in here. So they're basically gonna play zone plus cover 2 over the top. So look for one of those seam routes. It's been their bread and butter play to the slot backs all game.
3 run to the line, 4 options to the right side. The quarterback flushed out of the pocket. In fact, he's still on his feet, but they blew him dead in the end zone. That's a safety. So that's 2 points on the board for Guelph, and they'll get possession of the ball back.
And that's just about done. A great job bringing pressure from the outside, the defensive end. Comes screaming right off the edge. Number 44, I believe, is the one that got the sack.
Actually, 14 is credited Jesse Garvin to getting to the quarterback, and that was ironic because I thought they were actually trying to strip the ball from him in the end zone to get the touchdown. The quarterback and Scott Barnett stayed on his feet and he was trying to keep the play alive, but by then the official had already blown the play dead and given his position on the purple turf. It's a safety conceded by the Lions.
Yeah, and that I believe will do it because you've turned the ball over on possessions as well.
And now it's a 9-point lead, so
Yeah.
even if you were to get a touchdown, you would need the 2-point convert, and then you still need points on the board.
Yeah, and basically, I'm pretty sure York has used both of their timeouts at this point, so you could just pretty much kneel the clock out at this point. And congratulations to the Guelph Griffins for going back-to-back at the back-to-back. Last year they won at the Bantam level. This year they won at the JV level of the regional rep. Congratulations to this special group of kids.
Yeah, essentially as they run the ball over to the left side here, that the Guelph Junior Griffins, you're saying there's a lot of players that will have back-to-back rings in back-to-back years because they will graduate from the Bantam scene into this junior varsity scene. And I'm sure if they come away with a victory, which they're 56 seconds away from doing it, in a year or two, they're going to start eyeing the varsity championship.
Yeah, and again, that's what what the plan is to build at the grassroots level, develop and bring these kids up. And again, we've seen a real good development. We saw a really good, talented Bantam team from the Guelph Griffins lose to an equally talented team from the York Regional Lions. And again, this is back-to-back years at Bantam, first year at JV. So the future is really bright for the Guelph Griffins. Maybe they make the jump up to Premier action next year. I don't know.
I don't know. If I'm them, I want the clean sweep. I want the Bantam, I want the JV, and then I want the varsity. And you know what? Then I go into Premier and I start all over again, and I go after the Bantam, the JV, and the varsity. That's just me, Ronnie. I'm like Thanos. I want to collect all the rings.
Yeah, you want to get all 6 of the Infinity Stones there.
They could possibly do it over the next couple years in the Guelph Junior Griffins.
Yeah, again, but
And using that Thanos analogy, the Lions had an opportunity to go 3 for 3 today. It looks like they are going to lose in this junior varsity game to go to 1-1 on your Sunday, but then they still have an opportunity with their varsity team taking on the North Bay Bulldogs. So pressure being coming from the Lions. It's a pitch play for the Griffins. They make contact at the 35, but he breaks off of that tackle and moves past the 45 before going out of bounds. That's Benjamin Cottrell again, who's pretty much been the thorn in the Lions' paw all game long.
yeah, he's had himself a whale of a game. He's been a great player. The only thing, if I critique anything, I just stay in bounds on that, son. Let the clock run.
Yeah, as a result, the clock is frozen at 49 seconds here at TD Stadium. A 9-point lead thanks to an epic defensive stand on the last drive offensively of the game for the York Lions, with Jesse Garvin officially sacking the quarterback Scott Barnett in the end zone to increase it from, well, what was a 7-point lead into a 9-point lead, as there is a timeout taken here by Guelph.
I think what they're doing is they realize the situation here. They just want to get everybody lined up. They're just going to kneel the clock out in a second here because they got the first down that they needed to kill the clock.
And that would have been the second timeout called of the game for Guelph, so now each team is out of timeouts to use.
Exactly. So you're out of options and you're out of time here for North York. Again, but shout out to this team. Really good, really physically imposing looking team. Guelph, came in with a great game plan. They went after him early. I think the injury to number 2, Jared Golden, really hurt the Lions because
we also haven't seen much of Christopher Georgestad, number 8. He's been banged up repeatedly throughout the game, including the mean lick he took down the track on the far sidelines.
We haven't seen him since that point, so that was unfortunately. I think it was just a war of attrition, and Guelph just had an extra body or two available for them that were able to make that play.
Scott Barnett, the quarterback for the York Lions, threw 3 touchdowns in this game, 2 to Harvey Dick. And they got a 2-point convert out of the first Harvey Dick touchdown, as the first of, I would say, 2 or 3 victory knees are taken by the Guelph Junior Griffins to wind down the clock here at TD Stadium. But man, oh man, I think to Benjamin Cottrell's 105-yard kick return touchdown. And Ron, it was the timing of it, because essentially the game had been tied up after a 2-point convert by the Lions in the previous play. It absolutely killed all the momentum in the sails of the Lions, and it never recovered.
Yeah, and it was unfortunate that had to happen that way. But again, full marks to the Guelph Griffins, who came in here with a really, really good game plan and have gone after the York Regional Lions. And again, shout out to the York Lions, who have had a fantastic season. Couple thrilling games, couple overtime wins this year. Again, the first year at the OPFL level, just have done a great job establishing themselves for as a really a waking power to come.
After losing to Toronto by a close 13-10 score in the opening game of the season back on May 18th, here on your August-long weekend, the Junior Griffins complete a perfect trip since then, going 7-0 for the remaining 7 games in the regular season, and going through the OPFL Regional Rep Playoffs here in London to prevail over the York Lions 30-21. Soar high, Junior Griffins! You are the 2019 OPFL Regional Rep Champions in the junior varsity scene. So what I love about this, yesterday, Ottawa wins at Bantam. You had Durham win at junior varsity, and you had Essex win at varsity level. Well, today, you've had York win at Bantam. You've had the Guelph team win at junior varsity. I hate to be biased, but I'm kind of hoping for a North Bay win in the varsity scene to see 6 different programs come away with 6 different championships here on your August-long weekend.
Yeah, no, and again, it's been such a thrilling day of football for both these Guelph Griffins for the Bantam and the JVs, and again these York Regional Lions. They've both really done a fantastic job of developing programs and bringing them back up and bringing them into power. I'm really impressed with this York program. I expect big things to come in the years down the road.
The greatest line in all of sports forms at midfield as the two teams shake each other's hands. It all really came down to the last drive of the game for the York Lions, as essentially what happened was a safety was conceded in the end zone as Scott Barnett was tackled by Jesse Garvin. That was the 2 points that really was the straw that broke the camel's back, because let's face it, out of all the games we've seen this weekend, it ain't over till it's over. And the York Lions were only down by 7. Yes, they had to go roughly 105 yards down the field, but that's not necessarily impossible in the Canadian brand of football.
No, definitely not. But, you know, it was a tall task to you could see that they were missing something with an injury with a couple injuries that happened during the game, that they just didn't have the same spark that they seemed to have earlier.
You got to be happy if you're the Guelph Griffin fans. You came down to London today, and you had to be heartbroken in the Bantam game when your team went for a 2-point convert down by 1 point with 2:06 remaining in the contest. They failed on the 2-point convert, and as a result, they lose the Bantam Championship 28-27. But I'm sure the hardcore Junior Griffins fans stuck around for this junior varsity game, and they watched the JV team flip the script on the same program they faced in the Bantam scene in the York Lions to prevail here by a score of 30-21.
Yeah, you know, again, just celebrate a great day of football for both of these teams. And again, one more game still left to come. John, again, I know you're leaving me after this broadcast.
I'm sorry, partner.
It's all good. It's all good, man. Throw it to Breaking Bad.